Plastic's promise, a world drowning. Have you ever looked at something meant to be good, something that started with the best intentions, and then realized it grew into something else entirely? Think about plastic, not just a simple thing, but a grand idea. Back when plastic was first created, it felt like magic. It was strong, lightweight, and could be molded into almost anything. This material promised a better world. Doctors could use plastic for clean, one-time use tools, making hospitals safer. Food could be wrapped tightly, keeping it fresh longer and stopping waste. It meant we didn't have to cut down as many trees for paper or dig up as much metal. It was supposed to protect things, make life easier, even save lives. Here's how it works. You make a bottle that won't shatter, or a toy that won't break easily. It felt like progress, a step forward for everyone. Imagine going to a picnic. You bring plastic plates and cups. They don't break, they're light to carry, and they keep your drinks safe. So, you use them, and then you toss them. That's the simple idea. But here's the problem. What happens after we toss them? That magic, strength, the way plastic lasts forever, that very quality became its biggest challenge. It doesn't disappear. It breaks down into tiny pieces, but it never truly goes away. Now, our rivers carry plastic. Our oceans hold a silent, drifting tide of it. The good intention of making things convenient and safe has wrapped our planet in a kind of permanent shroud. The promise of an easier life, that simple, toss-away comfort, has turned into a heavy question. What will we do with all the ghosts of our convenience? It's a quiet sadness, watching a world slowly drown in the very thing we once celebrated as a brilliant idea. DDT, fighting bugs, hurting life. Have you ever tried to fix a problem, really wanting to make things better, only to find your solution caused new trouble you never saw coming? It's a strange, quiet kind of sadness when a good idea, born from hope, ends up hurting the very world it meant to help. That's a bit like the story of DDT. For a long time, tiny insects, especially mosquitoes, caused huge problems. They carried diseases like malaria, which killed millions of people every year. Imagine a world where a simple mosquito bite could steal your future. So, when a powerful chemical called DDT came along, it felt like a miracle. People cheered for it. It was incredibly good at killing these disease-spreading bugs. It saved countless lives, helping humanity fight back against tiny, deadly enemies. It seemed like we had finally found a way to win. But here's the thing. Nature is a complicated, delicate web. Our world is all connected, like threads in a giant tapestry. Think about it, like taking a very strong medicine for a bad cough. It stops the cough, right? But maybe, over time, that powerful medicine also messes with your stomach, or makes you feel tired all the time. You fixed one problem, but created another, quieter one inside your body. DDT worked too well, in a way. It didn't just target the bad bugs. It stayed in the environment. It seeped into the soil, washed into rivers, and was absorbed by plants. Small creatures ate those plants, then bigger creatures ate the smaller ones. And as it moved up this invisible ladder, it got stronger, concentrating in the bodies of animals at the top, like birds of prey. The shells of their eggs became so thin they'd crack before the chicks could hatch. Suddenly, the skies felt emptier. The hopeful songs of birds began to fade. So, what began as a bright, hopeful answer to a terrible disease showed us a harder truth. It taught us that our world has deep connections we can't always see. It reminded us that even the best intentions need gentle wisdom, a quiet understanding of how everything echoes in the long run. The car's freedom, choking our air. Have you ever just wanted to go, to feel the wind rush by, to escape? The car promised this feeling. It wasn't just a machine. It was a key to freedom, a roaring invitation to discover the world. In the beginning, it truly felt like magic. Distances shrunk. You could leave your small town, visit relatives far away, explore new places. Cities began to spread out, as people could live further from their jobs. It truly felt like the future, a bright, shining dream of independence. But here's the quiet truth about many good ideas. Every big step forward can cast a long, unexpected shadow. The very engines that carried us so far, so fast, also exhaled something else into the world. Think of it like a really fun, energetic game you love to play. It's exciting, it makes you happy, but maybe, without realizing it, you're playing it so intensely, for so long, that you start to wear down the playing field itself. You didn't mean to. You just wanted to enjoy the game. The car gave us immense power to move, to connect, to live new kinds of lives. But with each journey, each hum of the engine, it breathed out invisible gases, tiny bits of carbon, and other unseen things into the air. At first, no one really saw the big picture. We were too busy enjoying the ride, the feeling of speed and independence. But now, we look up. We see the hazy skies in big cities, a dull veil over what should be clear blue. We feel the subtle shifts in our climate. The air sometimes feels thick and heavy, a far cry from that fresh, open road feeling. The dream of driving anywhere, anytime, has quietly gathered into a cloud that hangs over our shared home. It's a powerful, reflective lesson. Even the most wonderful ideas, born from a desire for good, can hold a hidden, heavy consequence. How do we keep our freedom, keep moving forward, without choking the very air we need to breathe? Social media, connecting us, tearing us apart. Have you ever really thought about how we connect these days? We carry small screens in our pockets. They buzz with messages and pictures, promising to link us to everyone. This sounds like a really good idea, doesn't it? To feel less alone, to share moments, to find people who understand you. The main thought behind social media was clear: build bridges between us, make the world feel smaller, like one big neighborhood. For a long time, humans have wanted to connect, from ancient storytellers around a fire, sharing news, to letters traveling across oceans. We always found ways. Then came the internet, and then social media. Suddenly, it wasn't just sharing with a few friends, it was broadcasting to thousands. This seemed like the best way to meet that old human need. But here's the thing. Imagine you're building a big, beautiful park. The idea is to make a place where everyone can meet and feel welcome. That's a good goal. But what if, without meaning to, some paths got too narrow? What if some areas echoed certain voices loudly, while others stayed quiet? What if some people felt watched, and others felt invisible? Social media can be like that park. It brings us together in new ways, letting us share our art, our passions, our daily lives. But it can also be a place where arguments spread fast, where comparing ourselves to others brings pain, and where it's hard to simply be ourselves. So, this dream of perfect connection, it sometimes becomes complicated. It shows us how even bright inventions, meant for good, can also have a shadow. It makes us think about our own place in these digital spaces. How do we build connections without also building new kinds of walls? Learning this helps us use it better, with more care and more kindness. Prohibition's pure idea. Gangs and crime. Have you ever thought about a really good idea? One meant to help everyone, that somehow goes terribly wrong. Long ago, people in America saw alcohol causing so much pain. They saw families broken, hard-earned, money wasted, and tempers flaring into arguments, or worse. They had a pure dream, a deeply felt hope. What if we just banned it? They called this prohibition. The idea was so beautiful in their minds. No more drunkenness, no more heartbreaking, stories of ruined lives, just peace, quiet streets, and healthier homes. They truly believed they were building a better, kinder, and safer world for everyone, clearing away something they saw as a terrible poison. It's a bit like if you really loved drawing, but someone decided drawing was bad because a few people drew on walls or furniture. So, they decided to ban all pencils and paper. Would you stop wanting to draw? Probably not. You'd probably find a secret pencil, maybe tucked away, or perhaps you'd try to create your own, and someone else might quickly see a way to make money by selling those secret pencils and hidden art supplies, in the shadows, away from the rules. That's kind of what happened with alcohol. People still wanted to drink, deeply. So, hidden bars popped up everywhere, called speakeasies, and a dangerous secret world grew around making and selling alcohol illegally. This new, unlawful business wasn't run by regular folks trying to follow rules. It was run by powerful, organized gangs. They fought each other, often violently, over who got to sell the hidden booze, controlling different parts of cities. The very streets meant to be safer became battlegrounds, stained with new kinds of fear and crime. It's a quiet sadness, isn't it? That a noble intention, a heartfelt wish for a better tomorrow, could accidentally open the door to such widespread darkness and chaos. It reminds us how truly complicated humans are, and how even the brightest intentions, born from good hearts, can sometimes cast the longest and most surprising shadows. It makes you wonder, sometimes, if the purest paths are the ones we must walk most carefully, with an understanding of human nature. Lobotomies, healing minds, breaking souls. Have you ever wanted so badly to fix something that was hurting? Not just a scraped knee, but something deep inside, like a mind caught in a terrible storm. For a long time, doctors and families watched people suffer from severe mental illness. They saw minds trapped in loops of fear, anger, or deep sadness, and they desperately wanted a way to calm the storm. Here's the thing. In the 1940s and 50s, a surprising idea took hold. It was called a lobotomy. The idea was simple, but also terrifying. If parts of the brain were causing all this trouble, maybe cutting connections in the front part of the brain could quiet the noise. People hoped it would be like hitting a reset button, bringing peace to agitated minds. It sounded like a miracle to many, a way to help people who seemed beyond help. But here's the problem. Imagine your favorite song is playing on a radio, but the speaker is buzzing terribly loud. It's so loud you can't hear the music, just a horrible buzz. Someone might think, I'll just cut the wire to the speaker and the buzzing will stop. And yes, the buzzing would stop. But so would the song. So would all music, all sound. The radio would be quiet, but it would also be broken, unable to play anything ever again. That's a bit like what happened with lobotomies. Patients sometimes became calmer. Yes, the intense fear or anger might fade, but often, the person's unique spark, their dreams, their very personality, faded too. They might become quiet, almost like a blank slate. The parts of their mind that made them them were gone. It was a trade-off where, in trying to heal the mind, they often broke the soul. It reminds us that even with the best intentions, some solutions can create new, profound losses. The desire to help was real, but the path taken led to a quiet that was less about peace and more about an absence. Thalidomide, easy sleep, harsh awakening. Imagine feeling truly unwell, maybe even desperately tired, and then someone offers you a simple pill, a small tablet, easy to swallow, promising peace, a good night's sleep, or relief from a constant, upsetting sickness. In the late 1950s, a medicine called thalidomide was introduced with exactly that promise. It was presented as a gentle helper, especially for pregnant women suffering from severe morning sickness. For them, it offered a chance for a little comfort. During a very challenging time, it seemed like a genuinely good idea, a kind hand extended to those who needed it most. People believed it was safe, a scientific step forward, something that could truly improve lives. But here's the thing about good intentions. Sometimes, even the most hopeful plans can cast the longest, darkest shadows. Think of it like planting a beautiful flower, expecting it to bring joy and color. But unknowingly, its roots are toxic, silently poisoning the soil beneath. Thalidomide was like that. While it brought temporary relief to mothers, beneath the surface, a tragedy was unfolding. This seemingly innocent pill, meant to soothe, was causing devastating birth defects in thousands of babies around the world. Children were born with severely underdeveloped or missing limbs, facing lifelong challenges because of a medicine their mothers took. Believing it was harmless, the world woke up to this horror in a sudden, painful way. It was a stark lesson, etched deep into history, about the unseen connections within us. It showed us that a solution for one problem can accidentally create a far greater one, especially when dealing with the delicate miracle of new life. This tragedy reminds us to be incredibly careful, to question deeply, and to understand that even the best intentions need the strictest scrutiny. It teaches us the profound responsibility we hold when we try to fix things, and how truly good ideas must be examined from every possible angle, so that ease for some doesn't become a harsh awakening for others. Eugenics, perfect people, cruel choices. Have you ever thought about making things perfect? Like designing a perfect apple, always tasty, never bruised. Sounds good, right? Well, a while ago, some people had a similar idea about humans. It was called eugenics. Here's the thing. They believed they could improve the human race, make it stronger, smarter, healthier. They thought if only the best people had children, humanity would become perfect over time. It started as a way to make things better, to guide human progress. But here's the problem. Who decides what best means? And what about those not considered best? In the early 1900s, this idea grew powerful. People believed it so deeply, it led to cruel choices. Governments, in many places, including the US, forced people deemed unfit to not have children. They used harsh words like feeble-minded or inferior. This wasn't just somewhere far away. It happened right here. Think about a farmer. They pick the strongest corn seeds, tossing the rest. It works for corn, but people aren't corn. Every person is unique, with their own worth. When we try to apply that perfect corn idea to humans, we miss something vital. Eugenics taught us a hard lesson. It showed how wanting perfection, when applied to people, can erase basic human rights. It showed how easy it is to say some lives are less valuable. Perfecting humanity might sound good, but that path can be so very dark. It quietly reminds us that every single person has value, just as they are. Our differences make the world rich and complex. It's a gentle whisper to cherish every human life, no matter what. Highways, fast travel, broken communities. When you see a highway stretching into the distance, what do you think of? Maybe speed, or getting somewhere fast. It seems like such a good idea, right? Back in time, after World War II, people dreamed of connecting our towns, making travel quicker and easier for everyone. The idea was simple: build wide, fast roads, and life would get better. These superhighways felt like a symbol of progress, a way to unite the nation. But here's the thing about good plans: they sometimes create shadows we don't see until much later. Those mighty concrete rivers, meant to connect us, sometimes did the opposite. Imagine a close-knit neighborhood, full of houses, small shops, and parks, where kids played and neighbors chatted. Then, suddenly, a highway was planned right through. It became a deep, uncrossable canyon. Homes were torn down. Families living there for generations were forced to move, their strong connections broken. It's like when you have a big, old tree in your backyard. It gives shade and a place for birds. But if someone built a tall, solid fence right through your yard to speed up mail delivery, that tree isn't just a tree anymore. It's on one side or the other, and the yard, once whole, is now two separate parts. You can't just walk across it. Highways brought noise, pollution, and a feeling of deep division. They cut off kids from schools, and friends from friends. Local shops struggled because customers couldn't easily reach them. What was built for speed and connection often pushed people apart in unexpected ways. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, how even the brightest ideas can reshape our world in ways we never planned, leaving quiet marks on the map and on the human heart. The Green Revolution: more food, more problems. Have you ever thought about the most basic human desire? Maybe it's the wish for everyone to have enough to eat, to never know the ache of hunger. This good idea, this dream of a world without starvation, led to something called the Green Revolution. It happened mid-last century, when many worried about feeding a growing world. Scientists and farmers had a big idea. What if we could make food grow faster and bigger than ever before? And they did. They created new kinds of seeds, like super seeds for wheat and rice. They used special fertilizers and pesticides, making plants grow strong and keeping bugs away. And they found ways to water huge fields, making dry lands bloom. The plan worked. Fields that once gave a small harvest now burst with crops. Millions, especially in India, got more food. Lives were saved. It felt like a miracle, a victory for humanity. But here's the thing about grand solutions: they often have hidden costs, like shadows behind a bright light. Imagine you want your small backyard garden to produce a massive amount of vegetables. So you pour on lots of special plant food and spray for every bug. At first, it looks amazing. Giant tomatoes, huge pumpkins. But then, maybe the soil gets tired, drained of its natural goodness. The helpful insects disappear. The water running off your garden carries those chemicals into the creek nearby, making fish sick. That's a bit like the Green Revolution, but on a much bigger scale. The chemicals that made crops boom also hurt the soil, poisoned water, and harmed farm workers. The new seeds needed a lot of water, drying up wells. And while big farms thrived, many small farmers couldn't afford the expensive new seeds or fertilizers, losing their land and way of life. The dream of feeding everyone, born from a good place, created new kinds of hardship, new questions about the true price of plenty. It makes you wonder how often the best intentions can lead us down surprising, complicated paths. Dams powering towns, drowning history. Have you ever thought about where our electricity comes from? So much of it lights up our homes and powers our phones, and a lot comes from huge dams. These giant walls hold back rivers, creating massive lakes. It seems like such a good idea, right? We get clean power, control floods, and even create new places for boating and fun. It feels like pure progress, a win for everyone. But here's the thing about good ideas. Sometimes they cast long shadows. To build a dam, you need a lot of land, and often that land isn't empty. It might be where ancient towns stood, where people lived for generations, where their grandparents are buried. It might be sacred sites, old forests, or fertile farmlands. When the dam's gates close and the water rises, all of that gets covered. It's not just land, it's history, it's memories, stories, and the quiet echoes of lives lived. It's like when you try to build a new, cool fort in your backyard, but you have to tear down the old treehouse you loved. The one with all the carvings and secret spots. The new fort is awesome, but a piece of your past, a piece of who you were, is gone forever. So, while the lights are on and the factories hum, beneath the calm surface of that new lake lies a world that was erased. The good of the dam is clear, for all to see, shining bright, but the loss, the sad quiet of what was submerged, that's often forgotten. It's a heavy thought, how progress, in its drive to create, can sometimes quietly destroy. We gain so much, but what do we lose in return? And how do we remember the history that sleeps beneath the waves? Atomic power, cheap energy, deep fear. Have you ever really stopped to think about how much hidden power, how much force, can be packed inside something incredibly small? The idea of atomic power came from understanding that atoms, the tiny building blocks of everything, actually hold immense energy locked inside them. Scientists figured out how to split these atoms. When you split one, it lets out a huge burst of energy. People thought, wow, this could power cities, light up homes, and change the world forever. It was like discovering an endless supply of electricity, super clean and super cheap. And it was a good idea, right? To have energy for everyone. But here's the problem. That same immense power, so useful for creating electricity, could also be used to create something truly terrifying. The atomic bomb. One tiny atom, split in a specific way, could wipe out entire cities, or even worse. So, a discovery that promised a bright future also brought a deep shadow of fear. It showed us that even the most brilliant ideas can have a dark side if we're not incredibly careful. The same knowledge that builds can also destroy. Think of it like this: a tiny spark. A spark can light a cozy campfire, keeping you warm and cooking your food. That's a good thing, a useful thing. But that very same spark, if it lands in the wrong place, can set off a massive forest fire, destroying homes and nature. It's the same spark, the same basic energy, but its outcome depends on how it's handled, where it's directed. It shows us how something small, intended for good, holds the potential for great destruction if not controlled with the utmost care and wisdom. So, atomic power became a powerful reminder for humanity. It taught us that truly powerful discoveries, even those meant to help us, come with a heavy weight. We have to constantly ask ourselves, how do we use this power wisely? How do we make sure our good intentions don't accidentally lead to harm? It's a constant puzzle, this balance between creation and potential catastrophe, deep in the heart of our human journey. Central planning, ordered lives, lost dreams. Have you ever wondered what it would be like if everything was perfectly planned out for you? Every moment of your day, every step of your life, decided by someone else who believed they knew best. It sounds like a dream for some, maybe a way to avoid mistakes or chaos. This is kind of the idea behind central planning. Here's the thing, people who pushed for central planning, like certain leaders or big thinkers in history, had what seemed like a really good idea. They saw a world full of problems, poverty, unfairness, wasted effort. They believed that if one smart group could just map out everything, from how many shoes to make, to what jobs people should do, then everyone would be taken care of. There would be no more messes, no more hunger, just a smooth, efficient society. They truly imagined a perfect, ordered world. Think about a garden, carefully designed. Every flower has its place. Every path is straight, every color chosen. It looks beautiful, organized. But what if a little wild poppy seed blows in and tries to grow outside the neat rows? What if a child wants to pick a daisy that isn't supposed to be there? In a perfectly planned garden, those unexpected things are seen as mistakes, problems to be removed. and that's why it matters. In human lives, too, those unexpected moments, those personal choices, those individual dreams, are like the wild poppies, when everything is planned from above, when the system decides your path, your job, even your apartment. There's not much room left for you to choose. The very things that make you, your unique talents, your quiet wishes, your own definition of happiness, can get lost. The world becomes very orderly, yes, but sometimes, in that perfect order, a quiet part of the human spirit dims, and dreams, unheard and unfulfilled, fade away like whispers in the wind. Nationalism, love of nation, hate for others. Have you ever felt a deep swell of pride for where you come from? Maybe it's your town, your state, or your country. That feeling, that powerful connection to a shared history, a shared land, and shared dreams, is a beautiful thing. It's what can make a community stand together, cheer for each other, and help each other through tough times. This strong love for one's nation, this sense of belonging, is called nationalism. And here's the thing, in its purest form, nationalism isn't bad. It's like loving your family. You feel a special bond, a unique loyalty. But just like anything powerful, this love can twist. It can start to make you believe that your nation, your way of life, is not just good, but the only good. And then, without even realizing it, that love for your own can slowly become a fear, a suspicion, or even a hate for others. Imagine a school's sports team. It's great to feel proud of your team, to wear your colors, to cheer them on. That pride can push players to work harder, together. But what if that pride turns into thinking the other team is evil? What if it makes you want to hurt them, to laugh at their losses, to believe they are somehow less human? That's where the line blurs. That's where a good feeling becomes a weapon. Throughout history, this twisting of national pride has led to terrible chapters. People, believing their nation was supreme, have gone to war, taken lands, and committed unspeakable acts against those they suddenly saw as outsiders. It began with a good intention, protecting one's own, but it ended in vast suffering, because the circle of us became too small, and everyone outside it became them. So, we see that even the warmest feelings can have a cold shadow. Love for your home is natural, but true strength often comes from extending kindness and understanding beyond your own borders, recognizing the shared humanity in everyone, no matter where they are from. The challenge, perhaps, is to love our own deeply, while still leaving enough room in our hearts for the rest of the world. Colonization, bringing progress, taking everything. Have you ever thought about how good intentions can cause deep, lasting pain? It's a powerful idea, especially in history. Think about colonization. When a powerful group traveled to another land, they often believed they were bringing progress, new tools, different ways of living, or even a truer religion. They genuinely thought they were helping, bringing what they saw as development. But here's the thing. While new things arrived, they took away so much more. They claimed the land, which wasn't just dirt. It was the sacred home of generations. They took resources like gold and timber, without asking. Most painfully, they tried to erase ancient cultures, languages, and traditions, replacing local ways of life with their own. It's a bit like when a friend helps with your artwork. They might add cool colors, saying it'll be better, but you realize they've completely changed your original idea, scribbling over your favorite parts. Suddenly, it doesn't feel like your art anymore. Your unique voice, your vision, gets lost. It becomes theirs. That echoes of colonization still ripple through our world. True progress isn't about forcing your ideas on others. It's about respecting the deep beauty and wisdom already present. Real growth happens when people are free to live their own story, honoring their own heart and history. Monoculture farming, easy harvest, sick earth. Have you ever looked at a vast field, stretching for miles, covered in just one type of plant? Maybe it's corn, or wheat, or soybeans, as far as the eye can see. That's monoculture farming. The idea was simple: grow one crop well, make harvesting easy, and produce a lot of food quickly. It promised efficiency, a way to feed more people. But here's the thing. While it made harvesting simple for us, it started to make the earth sick. Imagine your own body. If you only ate one kind of food, even a healthy one, day after day, year after year, you'd get sick, right? Your body needs all sorts of different nutrients to be strong and stay healthy. Our planet's soil is a lot like that. It needs a diverse diet of life. When only one crop grows in a field, year after year, the soil loses key nutrients it needs. It gets tired, just like you would if you only did one type of exercise every single day. Without a mix of different plants, helpful insects and microbes disappear. Pests that love that one crop then thrive, forcing farmers to use more chemicals. These chemicals harm the soil even more, and can flow into our rivers, hurting other life. So, a good idea, meant to feed many, slowly started to weaken the very ground we stand on. It teaches us a quiet lesson. Nature loves variety. It thrives on difference, on many kinds of plants and creatures living together. When we simplify things too much, even with good intentions, we can break the delicate web of life. It reminds us that balance, even in farming, is key to a healthy world. Antibiotics, saving lives, creating super bug shave. You ever stopped to wonder how even the most brilliant ideas, meant only for good, can sometimes lead to surprising, even difficult, challenges? It's a powerful thought, one that echoes through history, and it's especially true when we think about antibiotics. Picture a world not so long ago, a world before these amazing medicines. A small cut, a simple sore throat, could quickly become deadly. Fevers were feared. Millions of people died from illnesses that today we barely even worry about. Then, a remarkable discovery changed everything. Think of penicillin, found by accident, by a scientist named Alexander Fleming. It was a true turning point for humanity. These medicines arrived like quiet heroes, ready to fight off the tiny, invisible invaders, bacteria, that made us so sick. They swept through hospitals and homes, saving millions of lives, allowing doctors to perform surgeries safely, and transforming healthcare forever. It felt like pure good, a simple miracle. But here's the thing about those tiny invaders. They are clever. They learn. They adapt. When we take antibiotics, the medicine wipes out most of the weak bacteria. But sometimes, a few tougher ones survive. They are naturally more resistant. And if we use antibiotics too often, or don't take all the medicine, as directed, those tough ones get a chance to grow and multiply without competition. It's kind of like playing a video game where your enemy levels up. If you keep using the same easy move to defeat them, they eventually figure out how to block it, becoming much harder to beat. These super strong bacteria are what we now call superbugs. They are germs that have learned to resist our best medicines. So, this incredible invention, which once saved countless lives, also, in a way, helped its enemies grow stronger. It reminds us that even our best intentions, even our most hopeful solutions, can have long, winding shadows. It teaches us that every powerful tool, no matter how helpful it seems, needs to be used with great care and deep thought. We have to always consider what might happen next, understanding that the world is a complex place where good and challenge often exist side by side. Refrigeration, fresh food, damaged ozone. Imagine a world without refrigerators. What would your lunch look like? What about fresh milk? For centuries, keeping food fresh was a huge challenge. People used salt or ice from winter. Life was often about eating things quickly before they spoiled. Then, in the early 1900s, something wonderful happened. We invented mechanical refrigeration. It changed everything. You could store food for weeks, even months. This meant less hunger, less food going bad. Families had more choices, and less sickness. It was a truly good idea, making life safer and more comfortable. This technology spread quickly because everyone saw how helpful it was. But here's the thing about good ideas. Sometimes they have hidden costs. To make things cold, refrigerators used special chemicals. For a long time, these were called CF or chlorofluorocarbons. They seemed perfect. They didn't explode, weren't poisonous, and were very stable. They just worked. And we used them everywhere, in fridges, air conditioners, cleaning sprays, even hairspray. The world embraced them. They seemed so harmless and useful. What we didn't know was what happened when these CFCs escaped into the air. They drifted up, high into the atmosphere, slowly, over years. Up there, there's a vital protective layer called the ozone layer. Think of it like a giant pair of invisible sunglasses for our planet. It blocks harmful ultraviolet UV sunlight from the sun. That light can give you painful sunburn, damage your eyes, or cause serious health problems. But those CFCs, reaching the ozone, started poking tiny, silent holes in our planet's natural sunglasses. They slowly broke down the ozone, making this protective shield thinner. So this amazing invention, meant to keep our food fresh and make us healthier, was also, in a quiet way, hurting our planet. It wasn't done on purpose. No one wanted to cause harm. It was just an unforeseen consequence, a side effect of a truly good intention. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, how something so helpful can also, without anyone meaning it to, lead to something deeply challenging. It reminds us to always look deeper, to think about the whole picture, even when an idea seems perfectly good and simple. Lead paint, pretty walls, poisoned kids. Have you ever looked at an old house, maybe one with peeling paint, and wondered about its story? Imagine a time when people wanted their homes to be bright and beautiful, with colors that lasted. So, they found a paint that seemed perfect. It dried smooth, looked vibrant, and covered walls wonderfully. This paint had lead in it, which helped make it durable and look so good. At the time, it felt like a truly good idea. But here's the problem: lead, even in small amounts, is a poison. For centuries, people used lead for all sorts of things, from pipes to cosmetics, without truly understanding the quiet danger it posed. The desire for pretty long-lasting walls overshadowed any deep questions about safety. It was like enjoying a delicious, sweet drink every day, not knowing that tiny, invisible drops of something harmful were slowly building up inside you. Think about a small child, maybe a toddler, exploring their world. Their hands touch everything, and sometimes those little hands go into their mouths. They might even chew on a windowsill or a crib rail, covered in that beautiful lead paint. Day by day, tiny flakes or dust from the paint would enter their bodies. It wasn't a sudden, dramatic sickness. Instead, the lead slowly, silently, began to damage their minds, their growing bodies, their very ability to learn and thrive. It's a heartbreaking thought, isn't it, that something made to bring beauty and cheer into a home could quietly, invisibly, steal away a child's future. It reminds us that sometimes, the things we create with the best intentions, the good ideas meant to make life better or prettier, can hold a hidden darkness. It teaches us to always look deeper, to question what lies beneath the surface, especially when it comes to the safety of those we care about most, because even a pretty wall can hide a silent scream. Asbestos, strong buildings, weak lungs. Have you ever thought about the hidden strength in the walls around us, the things that make a building stand tall and safe? For a long time, there was a material that seemed like a perfect answer to these questions. It was called asbestos. Here's the thing about asbestos. It's a natural mineral, found in rocks. It has these incredible properties. It's super strong, heat resistant, and won't burn. So, people thought, this is amazing. We can use this everywhere. And they did. They mixed it into cement, insulation, floor tiles, even brake pads in cars. They put it in homes, schools, ships, thinking they were making things safer, stronger, better. It was meant to protect, to create lasting structures that could stand against fire and time. It was an idea born from a deep human desire for resilience and security. But here's the problem. Those amazing fibers, the ones that made everything so strong, they were tiny. So tiny, you couldn't see them with your eyes. When asbestos materials were disturbed, maybe during a repair, or just as they got old and crumbly, these microscopic fibers would float into the air. Imagine trying to see a single speck of dust dancing in a sunbeam. Now imagine something even smaller, invisible, sharp, and deadly. People would breathe them in, not knowing the fibers would settle deep in their lungs, like silent, sharp needles. For years, nothing would seem wrong. Then, sometimes decades later, serious sickness, even a very aggressive type of cancer, would appear. It's like when you discover a secret, slow-acting poison in something that looked perfectly harmless, or even beneficial. An apple that looks shiny and perfect on the outside, but slowly, secretly, holds a hidden danger inside, affecting you only much later. The very thing designed to protect became a source of quiet, heartbreaking harm. This story makes you think about how sometimes the best intentions can lead to unexpected sorrow. The pursuit of strength, of safety, can have a shadowed path. It reminds us that progress isn't always simple or clear. We have to look closely, learn from the past, and always wonder about the full story behind what we create. Even when things seem perfectly good, we carry these invisible histories in our very air, a quiet lesson in humility and careful thought. Advertising's sparkle are empty pockets. Have you ever seen an ad that just sparkled, made a new pair of shoes or a shiny phone seem like the most important thing in the world? Like getting it would fill some quiet space inside you, make you truly happy. That's the clever magic of advertising. Its job isn't just to tell you what's available. No, its deeper work is to make you want it. Often something you didn't even know you needed a second ago. It promises a feeling, a better version of you, wrapped up in a product. For a long time, people mostly bought what they needed. But when factories started making lots of the same thing, suddenly there was more stuff than people knew what to do with. So, businesses needed a way to get people to buy more, not just what was essential. That's when advertising grew into the powerful force it is today. It started to learn about our desires, our dreams, and even our fears. It began to whisper that happiness was just a purchase away. Think about your phone. You probably have one. That works, right? But then an ad pops up for the newest model. It's slimmer, faster, with a camera that makes everything look amazing. The ad shows people laughing, living their best lives, all because they have that phone. Suddenly, your perfectly good phone feels old, not quite enough. You start to feel that ache, that craving for something new, even if it means saving up or asking your parents for it. But here's the thing, when we finally get that shiny new object, does the sparkle last forever? Often, the thrill fades, the ache returns, just waiting for the next bright ad to appear. It makes us wonder, what if true contentment isn't found in what we get, but in appreciating what we already have? What if the greatest emptiness isn't in our pockets, but in constantly chasing a feeling that can't be bought? Urban renewal, new buildings, old lives, lost. Have you ever considered how the desire to make things better can sometimes lead to an unexpected sadness, a quiet loss? Urban renewal is a big idea. It's the thought that we can improve cities by tearing down what's old and building what's new. Imagine a city growing, pushing away its past like a snake sheds its skin. On the surface, it seems good. Fresh concrete, clean lines, modern designs. It promises progress, a brighter future for everyone. But here's the problem. Those old places weren't just crumbling brick and mortar. They were vibrant homes, tiny corner shops, places where generations had lived, laughed, and built their lives. They held the echoes of daily routines, the scent of shared meals, the whispers of family histories. When these areas were marked for renewal, it wasn't just buildings that were cleared. Whole communities, entire ways of life, were often swept away. Don't think of it like an old, beloved photo album. It might be a bit faded, maybe some pages are creased, but every picture tells a story. Every smudge holds a memory of a hand touching it. Now, imagine someone decides to replace it with a brand new digital album because it's more efficient. The new one is clear, perfect, but the warmth, the tangible history, the feeling of turning those worn pages, that unique soul of the old album is gone, lost in the pursuit of something better. And that's why this idea, urban renewal, can be so deeply bittersweet. In the name of progress, in the hopeful pursuit of good, irreplaceable connections were broken. New buildings rose, often tall and impressive. But the heart of the community, its unique spirit woven from countless ordinary lives, sometimes vanished. It leaves us with a quiet question. When we build something new, what precious parts of the past do we accidentally bury beneath the foundations? And what does it mean to build better if it means silencing the very echoes that made a place feel like home? Gated communities, safe homes, divided hearts. We all want to feel safe, don't we? To know our homes are places where worries can't creep in. This desire often leads to ideas like gated communities. They are neighborhoods with fences, walls, and guarded entrances. The idea is simple. Keep out what's seen as bad, keep in what's good. People choose them for peace, for security, for a sense of belonging among others who are similar. It's an old idea really. For thousands of years, humans have built walls. Think of ancient cities with their high defenses, castles with moats. It's a deep human instinct to protect our families, our homes, our way of life from what feels like a threat outside. But here's the thing about walls, even invisible ones. Imagine a single human cell. It has a membrane, right? That membrane keeps the cell safe, holding everything important inside. But it also has tiny gates that let good things in and waste out. If those gates close too much, if the cell completely seals itself off, it stops growing. It can't learn. It becomes isolated, unhealthy. And so it is with communities. When we build tall walls around our neighborhoods, even with good intentions for safety, we might accidentally build walls around our hearts too. We might see less of the world beyond our gates. We might lose chances to connect with different people, to understand their struggles, to share their joys. Does our quest for safety sometimes lead us to live in smaller worlds, leaving bigger parts of humanity feeling like strangers on the other side? It's a quiet question, but an important one, about how we define belonging and what it costs to feel truly secure. Fast fashion, cheap clothes, high costs. Have you ever looked at a new shirt, maybe one you just bought for a few dollars, and wondered how it could be so cheap? We love new things. That feeling of wearing something fresh, perfectly on trend. Good feeling, right? Fast fashion means speed and low prices. Companies make clothes very quickly. Styles change almost weekly. What you bought last month is already out. It feels great to get new clothes cheaply. The idea was good, trendy, affordable fashion for everyone. This felt fair, like spreading joy. But here's the problem. Not long ago, getting a new outfit was a big deal. Clothes were made to last. People would mend shirts, pass down dresses. Think of it like a carefully grown garden. You tend to it, you wait, and the fruits last. But fast fashion is like instant ramen. It's quick, it fills a need, but it doesn't nourish you. And what happens to all those plastic containers and wasted food? They pile up. The true price of that cheap top isn't just the few dollars you paid. It's the water wasted, the dyes polluting rivers, the huge piles of clothes in landfills because they weren't made to last. It's also the human cost. Think about the people working long hours in tough conditions for very little pay, just to make that shirt. So, when we choose fast fashion, we might feel good in the moment, but we are also, unknowingly, part of a story much bigger and sadder than just a cheap shirt. We are part of its real, hidden cost. It makes you wonder about the ripple effects of even the simplest choices. The school system, learning for all, fitting one mold. Have you ever paused to think about how school works? We often just accept it, right? But the very idea of school, a place where every child could learn, was a beautiful dream. It was meant to lift everyone up, to make sure no mind was left in the dark. That's a truly good goal, a shining ideal, education for all. Every single person, no matter where they came from, deserved to read, to write, to understand the world around them. But here's the thing, to teach so many, all at once, a system had to be built. Imagine a time, long ago, when countries needed lots of people with the same basic skills. Not just brilliant thinkers, but good workers, responsible citizens. They needed everyone to know similar facts, to follow rules, to contribute. So, schools were designed like well-oiled machines, built for efficiency. They aimed to create a steady stream of people ready to fit into society's needs. The core idea was noble, a more educated, stable world for everyone. Think of it like baking cookies. You have different doughs, different flavors, different ingredients. But if you only have one cookie cutter, perfect, simple circle, then every cookie, no matter its unique dough, ends up looking exactly the same. The circle is easy to stack, easy to package, it's efficient. But the distinct shapes, the individual swirls or rough edges that might have made each cookie special, they get smoothed away. And that's the quiet challenge within our school system. It offers the incredible gift of learning to every single person, which truly is good. But sometimes, in the effort to shape us all into the best possible mold, the system can unknowingly soften the unique parts of who we are. We gain a common understanding, a shared way of seeing things, yet a bit of our individual spark, the part that longs to learn differently or shine in its own unexpected light, can sometimes dim. It makes you wonder if a good idea, meant for everyone, might sometimes forget the precious beauty of just one. Scientific racism, understanding people, causing harm. Have you ever thought about how we try to understand each other? We look at differences and what makes us the same. That's good, right? To learn about humanity, to see how people live and think, but sometimes even good intentions twist into something harmful. One idea, born from the desire to understand, became scientific racism. This thinking used science, like biology or body measurements, to sort people into races. Then, it claimed some races were naturally better or smarter. The goal, they said, was to understand human differences. But the terrible outcome, it justified treating groups as less important, less human, or worthy of control. This idea grew popular hundreds of years ago. People tried to categorize everyone, like sorting books. But instead of just noticing differences, they ranked them. It wasn't about curiosity, it was about power. It excused terrible things, slavery, unfair laws. They told themselves, science proves these people are inferior. But that wasn't science. It was just prejudice in a lab coat. Think about it. Imagine you have a new phone. You look at its size, its color, all good. But what if you decided phones of a certain color were naturally better, or from one country always slower, without real proof, and then used that idea to charge more for one, or say another shouldn't connect to the internet? That's what happened. Simple differences were twisted into reasons for terrible unfairness, under science's false flag. So, what does this teach us? It shows the importance of looking critically at ideas, even scientific claims. True understanding comes from respect. It means seeing the equal worth in every person. Our understanding must be guided by empathy, not by proving one group is better. Every person holds their own light. We dim our own light when we try to dim someone else's. Standardized tests, fair grading, crushing spirits. Have you ever felt like one single number could decide so much about who you are, or how smart you are? That's what standardized tests often feel like. The idea behind them, initially, was really good. People wanted to make grading fair for everyone. They aimed to get rid of favoritism and make sure every student, no matter their background, had an equal chance to show what they knew. It was about creating a level playing field across schools and states. This idea started becoming popular around the early 1900s. Back then, it seemed like the most efficient and unbiased way to measure many students at once. It promised a way to see what was working in education and what wasn't, all based on objective data. But here's the problem. Imagine trying to understand a whole forest just by measuring the height of one type of tree. You'd miss the winding rivers, the hidden animals, the ancient rocks, and the way everything connects. Standardized tests are a bit like that. They try to measure a complex, living thing, your knowledge, your thoughts, your unique way of learning, with a very narrow tool. They might show if you remember certain facts, but what about your ability to create a beautiful story, or solve a difficult puzzle with a friend, or understand someone else's feelings? For many students, the endless prepping and the high-stakes test day can feel truly crushing. It can make brilliant minds doubt themselves, make them feel less than, just because they don't fit neatly into a score. The original good intention of fairness sometimes casts a long shadow. It reminds us that while we try to measure knowledge, the human spirit, with all its wonder and potential, can never truly be captured by a single number on a test. The Electoral College, protecting states, silencing votes. Have you ever thought about how every single voice matters? How each person's opinion, like a single raindrop, can join with others to form a mighty river? But what if some raindrops counted for more than others? Or if the river didn't always flow where most drops wanted it to go? This is a little like the Electoral College, a system designed long ago for choosing a president. Here's the thing. When we vote, we're not directly picking the president. Instead, our votes in each state help decide which candidate gets that state's electoral votes. Think of these electoral votes like points in a game. Each state gets a certain number of points, mostly based on its population. To win the presidency, a candidate needs to collect more than half of these total points. Not necessarily more individual votes from people across the country. The people who first shaped our nation worried about fairness. They worried that very large states might overpower smaller ones, or that a few big cities could decide everything for everyone. So, they created the Electoral College to give every state, big or small, a voice, a stake in the outcome. It was a good intention, meant to protect those who might otherwise be overlooked. But imagine your grade in a class. You do really well on all your daily homework and quizzes. Those are like individual votes. But then, the final project is worth half your entire grade. You could get amazing grades on everything else. But if you don't ace that one big project, your final letter grade might not truly show all your hard effort. Your daily work, though important, might feel less powerful. That's how it can feel with the Electoral College. An idea meant to balance power and protect the voices of smaller groups can sometimes lead to a president being chosen who didn't win the most individual votes nationwide. It leaves us to wonder about the whisper of a single vote and how its strength can sometimes feel both honored and, in a strange way, unheard. It's a reminder that even good intentions can ripple into complex outcomes. Intellectual property, rewarding creators, stifling progress. Have you ever thought about an amazing idea, maybe for a new game or a song, and wished it was just yours? We often feel that way. When someone creates something new, an invention, a piece of music, a story, intellectual property is the way we say, this came from their mind, so it belongs to them. It's like owning a physical thing, but it's an idea. The idea behind this was good. It felt fair to protect the hard work and cleverness of creators. People figured if inventors or writers knew their unique ideas would be safe, and they could earn money from them, they'd be inspired to make even more incredible things. And that's how progress happens, right? We want to encourage people to think big and share their genius with the world. But here's the problem. Sometimes, protecting an idea too much can actually stop good things from happening. Imagine a new medicine. Let's say a company spends years and millions of dollars creating a drug that can cure a serious disease. They get a patent, which means only they can make that medicine for a long time. This is their reward for all that effort. But what if the medicine is super expensive because of this protection? What if many sick people can't afford it and suffer, or even die, because only one company can sell it at a high price? Or what if another scientist finds a small, simple way to make the medicine even better, or cheaper, but they can't use the original idea because it's legally owned? It's a really tough balance. We want to honor the brilliance and hard work of creators. We want them to be rewarded for bringing new light into the world. But we also want to make sure their good ideas can reach everyone who needs them, and that knowledge can keep growing freely. It's about finding the pathway where brilliance is rewarded, but progress isn't trapped. The gold standard, stable money, economic crises. Have you ever thought about what gives money its power, its value? For a long time, the world had an idea that seemed so solid, so fair. The gold standard. Here's how it works. Every dollar, every pound, every franc was directly linked to a specific amount of gold. Like a promise etched in stone, governments swore they would give you that much gold if you brought your paper money to them. This made money feel real, dependable. People believed it was a smart way to keep things stable, to stop governments from printing too much money and making it worthless. It was meant to be an anchor, holding the wild seas of the economy steady. But here's the problem. While it seemed good in theory, a good idea for stability, it often caused deep pain. Imagine you're playing a game, and the only way to get more game coins is to find rare shiny pebbles. If there aren't enough pebbles, even if everyone wants to play more, the game can't grow. It gets stuck. The gold standard was like that. When economies needed more money to grow, or to help people through hard times, the amount of gold available was limited. It was a fixed amount. So, if a crisis hit, like a big bank run where everyone rushed to get their gold, there often wasn't enough. Banks failed, businesses crashed, people lost everything. This rigid system meant economic downturns weren't just bumps. They became massive, crushing waves. The desire for absolute stability, for an unbreakable rule, ironically led to some of the deepest and most painful economic crises in history. It showed us that sometimes, trying too hard to control the river can make it flood its banks in unexpected ways. A good intention, for stability and fairness, could lead to immense human suffering. And that's why it matters to think about the true ripple effects of even the best-sounding ideas. Zero tolerance, strict rules, unfair outcomes. Have you ever wondered if a rule meant to make things safer could accidentally make them worse? It's a strange thought, isn't it? But sometimes, a good idea, pushed to its furthest edge, can cast a long, unintended shadow. That's often what happens with zero tolerance. Here's the thing. Zero tolerance means there's no wiggle room, no exceptions. It's like a line drawn in the sand, and if you cross it, no matter how tiny your toe or how accidental the step, the punishment is fixed. The idea is to be absolutely fair, to treat everyone the same, and to stop bad things before they start. It sounds strong, like a shield against chaos. People put these rules in place, hoping to create perfect order, perfect safety. But here's the problem. Life isn't always neat and tidy. The world is full of shades of gray, not just black and white. Think about an old, strict rule, maybe even one from long ago, that says, if you break any law, you lose everything. It sounds fair on paper because it applies to everyone. But what if someone was starving and stole a loaf of bread? Or what if a small mistake had huge, life-changing consequences? It's like this. Imagine a rule at school that says if you have any kind of toy that could be distracting, even a small harmless fidget spinner, you get a 3-day suspension. The rule's intention is good, to keep everyone focused on learning. But what if a student uses a fidget spinner to help with their anxiety, to focus better? The rule, meant to help, now hurts. It ignores the reason behind the action, focusing only on the action itself. The fairness of the rule becomes unfair in practice, and that's the deep thought to carry with you. Sometimes, trying to be perfectly strict can blind us to the human stories behind the rules. It can make us forget that true justice often needs understanding, and that real safety comes from kindness as much as it does from rigid boundaries. We learn that even the best intentions need wisdom, so they don't accidentally crush the very spirit they mean to protect. Deterrence, stopping war, building bombs. Have you ever wondered if the best way to prevent a fight is to be so strong, so powerful, that no one would dare to start one with you? It sounds like a good idea, right? A way to keep the peace. This strategy is called deterrence. It's the belief that if you have something so destructive, so terrifying, your enemies will be too afraid to attack. They'll be deterred from war. For a long time, especially during the Cold War, this was how many nations tried to avoid conflict. Think of two giants, standing face to face, each holding a weapon that could destroy the world. The idea was, if one giant threw their weapon, the other would instantly throw theirs back. Both would be destroyed. This terrifying balance was known as mutually assured destruction, or MAD. It meant that both sides were ready for war, but too scared to actually start one. So here's what happened. They built more and more powerful weapons, not to use them, but to make sure no one else would try to use theirs. Here's the thing. Imagine you and a friend each have your most prized possession, maybe a brand new video game console. You both know if either of you breaks the other's console, your own will be broken too. So, you might argue, you might even threaten, but you'd be very careful not to actually break anything. Your love for your own console deters you from ruining your friends, even if you're mad. This can help you understand the core idea. It's a strange kind of peace though, isn't it? A calm that comes not from trust or understanding, but from the chilling threat of total loss. It makes us think deeply about what true safety means. Is peace built on fear truly peace? And what does it cost us, as humans, to live under such a shadow? Credit cards, easy money, hard debt. Have you ever wanted something so much, right now, but didn't have the money? Credit cards seem to whisper a promise. You can have it, right now. They feel like a sudden magic trick, turning empty hands into full ones, but that magic isn't free. It's a promise to your future self, to pay back what you borrow, and then some. It's the cost of wanting things now. Long ago, people traded based on trust. If you needed grain, and I had extra, I might give it to you, trusting you'd give me something back later. That trust, that future promise, is the oldest form of credit. A credit card is just that ancient trust, but made fast and digital. It feels like getting money easily. You swipe, you sign, and the item is yours. No cash needed. It feels so simple, but here's the problem. That easy money can grow heavy. Imagine a tiny stream, a clear trickle of water. It seems harmless, but if you keep adding more water, letting it flow freely, that small stream can become a raging river, powerful enough to sweep away everything. That's what debt can do. Each swipe is a little more water, and soon, you're trying to stand against a current you can't control. It's an unseen weight, always there, a quiet burden. It starts with a good idea, convenience, helping in a pinch. Maybe you need to fix something important, but the ease hides a quiet danger. The trap is how quickly just a little bit can become too much. It's a lesson about patience. Some doors open easily, but then don't close simply. It makes us wonder about true freedom. Is it the freedom to get what we want now, or the deeper freedom of not being held by what we owe? Loyalty programs, saving money, selling info, that little card on your keychain, the one that saves you a few dollars at the grocery store, or gets you points for coffee. Seems like such a good deal, right? You get a discount, and the store gets what? Exactly. Here's the thing about those loyalty programs. They offer you a small gift in exchange for something much larger, something you might not even realize you're giving away. It's a modern twist on an ancient idea. For centuries, people have traded. A hunter trades meat for tools, a farmer trades crops for clothes. These were open, clear deals. But with loyalty programs, the trade becomes quieter, almost invisible. You save money on your groceries, and in return, the store builds a detailed map of your life. They learn what snacks you buy when you shop, if you prefer organic milk or a certain brand of cereal. They learn your habits, your preferences, even your weaknesses. Think about a video game you play. It might offer you special bonus items if you connect to your account or complete certain daily tasks. You get the cool item, but the game also watches how you play. It knows your favorite levels, the characters you choose. When you log in and out, it gathers a digital fingerprint of your gaming self. This information isn't just sitting there, it's used. It can show you more ads for games you might like, or even suggest in-game purchases designed just for you. It's like a quiet whisper guiding your choices, shaped by what they know. So, what does it mean when we trade pieces of our privacy, little by little, for a few cents off? It's not a loud, sudden betrayal, but a gentle, steady collection. We hand over the blueprint of our daily desires for small, immediate comfort. It makes you wonder, what is the true, deeper cost of convenience, of those seemingly harmless savings? And that's why it matters to think about what we value most in this hidden exchange. Bottled water, pure drink. Plastic waste. Have you ever looked at a simple plastic bottle of water, clear and cool, and thought about its story? It seems so innocent, right? Just pure water, ready to drink, anytime, anywhere. And that's exactly what it promised to be. The idea was simple, even beautiful. Provide safe, clean water to everyone. For centuries, getting truly clean drinking water was a huge challenge. People often got sick from bad water. So, when bottled water arrived, it felt like a miracle, a tiny, portable well of purity, protecting us from the unseen dangers in shared taps or less than perfect public systems. It was about safety, convenience, and a healthy choice. But here's the thing about good ideas. Sometimes, they bloom into something unexpectedly huge, something that casts a different kind of shadow. This small, clear bottle, meant to bring health, multiplied. Millions became billions. And each bottle, once emptied, didn't just disappear. It became plastic waste. Mountains of it, floating in our oceans, piling up in landfills, taking hundreds of years to break down. Think about it like this. Imagine you wanted to light up your room, so you bought a single super bright light bulb. A great idea for a dark corner. But then, to make it even easier, you decided to buy a new light bulb every time the old one dimmed, instead of changing a battery. And soon, your room would be filled, not just with light, but with countless old bulbs, their brightness a distant memory, their casings a growing problem. The intention was light, but the outcome became cluttered. So, with bottled water, the goal was simple purity. But the path taken created a vast, heavy burden of plastic, changing our world in ways we never planned. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, how even the kindest intentions can create ripples we don't foresee, asking us to think deeper about what true good means in the long run. Air conditioning, cool comfort, warming planet. Have you ever walked inside on a blistering summer day and felt that instant wave of cool, sweet air? That's air conditioning, right? It makes our homes, schools, and malls feel like a dream when it's scorching outside. It's pure comfort. The idea of cooling spaces isn't new. People used to fan themselves or build houses to catch breezes. But Willis Carrier, over 100 years ago, invented what we know as modern AC. He wasn't thinking about making people comfy. He wanted to control air in a printing plant so paper wouldn't wrinkle. His idea was brilliant, a way to make work better. But here's the thing. That good idea to cool a space started a chain reaction. Suddenly, places too hot to live or work in became possible. Cities grew in deserts. We built glass towers that acted like giant ovens, then cranked the AC. Here's the problem. Air conditioners use a lot of energy. And for a long time, the chemicals inside, called refrigerants, trapped heat like a blanket, harming our atmosphere. Even today, the energy used means more power plants burning fuel, adding to global warming. Think of it like this. You're super thirsty after running around. A big, cold soda sounds perfect. It feels amazing for a moment. But if you drink too many every day, ignoring water, your body eventually hurts. The soda was good for instant thirst, but not a constant solution. AC gives us instant relief and perfect comfort, but the more we rely on it, the more we add to the bigger, slower problem of a warming planet. So what started as a genius way to improve a printing plant became a core part of our comfort, our very way of life. We built our world around it, and now we see the other side of that comfort, the quiet cost it asks of our Earth. It makes us wonder, doesn't it, how many good solutions, born from cleverness and a desire for ease, might be slowly reshaping our world in ways we never meant. Artificial sweeteners, sweet taste, unknown effects. What if you could taste something wonderfully sweet, without any of the sugar, no calories, no worries about health problems linked to too much sugar? This idea feels like a gentle dream, doesn't it? Like finding a secret shortcut to happiness. This is the promise artificial sweeteners brought to the world. They are chemicals, made by people, that taste incredibly sweet, but your body doesn't process them like real sugar. They don't give you calories. For many, this seemed like a truly good idea. People wanted to enjoy sweet treats without the downsides of sugar, like weight gain or concerns about blood sugar. The first one, saccharin, was actually discovered by accident over 100 years ago. A scientist working in his lab noticed a sweet taste on his hand. This simple discovery sparked a revolution. It felt like magic, all the deliciousness, none of the perceived harm. The thought was pure and simple: solve one problem, sugar's excess, with a clever trick of taste. It was an invention born from a wish for a better, healthier way to live. But here's the thing about trying to create a perfect solution. Sometimes, our best intentions open up new questions. Imagine you have a tangled knot of string. You try to untie it perfectly, pulling one loop free. For a moment, it looks like it's working. But then, another part of the string tightens, creating a different, unexpected tangle somewhere else. You didn't mean to, but your solution changed the whole picture in ways you couldn't see at first. With artificial sweeteners, we got the sweetness we wanted. But what else did we get? Unknowingly. Our bodies are complex, like vast, unseen ecosystems. When we introduce something new, even something seemingly harmless, the ripple effects can take a long time to show themselves. It reminds us that often, the path to a truly good idea is not always clear. Sometimes, the most innocent sweet taste can hide a deeper, unanswered question about its true impact on our lives. Pesticides, protecting crops, harming nature. Have you ever wanted to protect something you cared about? Something fragile, like a garden you worked so hard on, or food growing in a field. For centuries, people have watched their crops, their very source of food, get eaten by tiny insects. Imagine hungry families facing empty plates because beetles or worms devoured their harvest. So, people looked for ways to stop these pests, and that's where pesticides came in. The idea was simple: use special chemicals to kill the bugs that eat our food. It sounded like a truly good idea, right? More food for everyone, less hunger, a better life. It felt like winning a battle against nature's challenges. For a while, it worked. Fields looked healthier, harvests grew larger. It seemed like we had found a smart solution, a way to feed a growing world. But here's the thing about solutions that seem too perfect. Sometimes, they have hidden costs. Think about it like a powerful medicine. It might cure your illness, but it could also have side effects you didn't expect, maybe making you feel tired or upset your stomach. Pesticides, while killing the bad bugs, also started harming other things. They drifted into streams, hurting fish. They landed on flowers, harming bees, which we need to help plants grow. Birds that ate the poisoned insects became sick. It was like trying to clean one part of your room, but accidentally making a bigger mess somewhere else. The initial good intention to protect our food slowly began to ripple outwards, touching parts of nature we never meant to harm. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, how a good idea, born from a real need, can sometimes weave a tangled web, showing us how everything is connected, and how even our best efforts need careful thought about. Tomorrow. Genetic engineering, better food, ethical questions. Have you ever wished a tomato stayed fresh longer? For centuries, people have tried to make food better. Farmers picked the strongest plants, or the cows giving the most milk. This was a slow process relying on hope, but now we can be much more direct. It's called genetic engineering. Imagine a plant as a living instruction manual. Every detail, from its color to how fast it grows, is written in its code, its DNA. Genetic engineering lets us go into that manual and carefully edit a few lines. We might move a tiny piece of code from one plant to another, or just change an existing piece. For food, this means we could make corn that needs less water, or potatoes that fight off diseases. This sounds amazing, right? More food for everyone, less waste. It starts from a good place, aiming to solve hunger, but then a quiet question arrives. When we edit life's own deep story, what else might change? We're not just picking a bigger apple anymore. We're changing the apple itself, deep down in its instructions. What if those changes have effects we don't expect? What if something good for a plant harms the soil, or the tiny life that depends on it? It's like editing a favorite book. You might make one character stronger, but the whole story shifts in ways you didn't plan. We begin with a clear goal, better food, but we also walk a path asking what better truly means. It makes you feel the quiet weight of our choices, standing between what we can do and what we should do. The invention of gunpowder, endless war. Have you ever wondered if an idea, born from hope, could lead to something much darker? Something that changes the world in ways no one intended? Here's the thing. Sometimes, even the best intentions can pave a difficult road, leading to consequences we could never have imagined. Think about ancient China. Monks, peaceful and wise, weren't trying to build weapons. They were searching for something beautiful, a way to live forever, a potion for eternal life. They mixed different powders, metals, and chemicals, hoping to find the perfect blend. They were dreamers, looking for a good thing. But here's what happened instead. Through their experiments, they accidentally stumbled upon a powerful, explosive dust. This was gunpowder. It wasn't meant for war. Maybe they thought it could be used for fireworks, for celebrations, for loud noises that scared away evil spirits. And for a while, it was. But then, people saw its other side. They saw its power. So, it slowly started to be used differently. It became a tool of war. Swords and spears were suddenly outdated. Now, armies could attack from a distance. The clang of metal gave way to the terrifying boom of an explosion. War became louder, faster, and much, much deadlier. Imagine you have a powerful tool, like a hammer. In your hands, it can build a house, create something wonderful. But that same hammer, if used differently, can break things, cause great harm. Gunpowder was like that, a discovery with immense power, but one that soon shaped battlefields into places of more intense destruction. This can help you understand something deep about human progress. We create, we discover, often with good in our hearts. But every invention holds a hidden weight. Every good idea can have an echo, a consequence that ripples out, changing everything in its path, sometimes for the worse. And that's why it matters to think about the long, long shadow some inventions cast over history. Fireworks, pretty lights, loud noise, pollution. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, watching fireworks explode in a burst of color and sound? They seem so full of joy, right? A dazzling show, making us cheer and feel connected. For a few minutes, the world feels magical. They are meant to mark big moments, holidays, victories, new beginnings. It's a way to make noise and light, celebrating something important, and feel a shared happiness. But here's the thing. Fireworks have been around for a long, long time. People in ancient China first made them, not just for fun, but sometimes to scare away evil spirits or for religious ceremonies. Over centuries, they became a symbol of celebration all over the world. The idea was simple and good. Create a moment of wonder and excitement. Yet, think about what happens when the show is over. The beautiful colors fade. Then comes the smoke, drifting into the air and settling over our towns. There's the loud ringing in your ears, sometimes scaring pets or disturbing quiet neighborhoods. And down below, pieces of cardboard and plastic from the exploded shells fall to the ground, becoming litter and adding to waste. It's like eating a giant piece of candy. It tastes amazing for a second, a burst of sugary goodness. But then, you might get a stomachache later, or it's not good for your teeth. The immediate pleasure hides a less good consequence that comes after. So, fireworks show us a bigger idea about many things. Even something beautiful, something meant to bring us together in shared celebration, can have a shadow side. It's bright. Goodness often comes with a less visible cost. It reminds us to look beyond the dazzling surface and truly think about the whole picture. The quiet effects that linger long after the applause has stopped. The real story is often in what we don't immediately see. Tourism, seeing the world, hurting local life. Have you ever dreamed of walking ancient streets in a faraway land, or swimming in crystal clear waters, seeing amazing fish? Travel sounds wonderful, right? It promises adventure, new sights, and a chance to learn about different cultures. For a long time, we thought of it as purely good, but here's the thing. Sometimes, even good ideas can cast an unexpected shadow. Tourism is simply people visiting places for pleasure. For a long time, only the wealthy could travel far. But with modern planes and cheaper tickets, the world opened to almost everyone. This was seen as a way to bring people together, create understanding, and bring money. And it often does. But imagine your favorite quiet park, where you go for peace. Now imagine thousands of people coming there every single day. They might leave trash, trample the grass, or make so much noise the animals leave. The park is still beautiful, but its quiet spirit, its delicate balance, is gone. It's like that for many local communities when tourism booms too fast. Old traditions might get twisted into shows for visitors, not real life. Local people might get pushed out, or their jobs replaced by low-paying service work. Natural places get damaged, too, from too many footsteps or too much waste. So, while we seek amazing experiences, we also need to remember the places we visit are homes for others. Travel aims to broaden our minds, to connect, but true connection means respecting the place and its people, recognizing the unseen costs of our wanderlust. It's about being a careful guest, not just a consumer. The beauty of a place isn't just in what you see, but in its living heart, which deserves care. Celebrity culture, inspiring dreams, unrealistic lives. Have you ever scrolled through your phone, looking at someone famous, and felt a quiet wish? Maybe you saw their bright smile, their perfect home, or how icily they seemed to glide through life. We see their shiny cars, huge houses, and faces that seem touched by magic. It makes us dream, doesn't it? We start to imagine a life just as polished, just as free. This dream, this aspiration, feels like a good thing. It pushes us forward, right? But here's the thing. Those perfect images often hide so much. We only ever see the front of the stage, the curtain drawn back just enough. We don't see the restless nights, the constant pressure, the private struggles that weigh on every human heart. For centuries, people have looked up to heroes. Think about the brave figures in ancient stories or the leaders we read about in history. They inspired courage or wisdom. But those stories were often passed down, softened by time and distance. Today, though, our screens bring famous people so close, they are right there in our pockets, almost like friends. This closeness, meant to inspire, can sometimes blur the lines. We forget that what we see is often a carefully built picture, an edited scene, not the whole messy, beautiful reality. It's like looking at a perfectly photoshopped flower. You admire its beauty, but you don't see the dirt on its roots, or the sun and rain that shaped it, or even the tiny imperfections that make it real. Their lives become like that perfect image, a smooth, flawless surface. And if we compare our own real, sometimes messy, sometimes difficult lives to that flawless picture, we can start to feel small. We might wonder why our own journey isn't as bright, as easy. This feeling, this quiet doubt, can grow, even though the original idea was simply to inspire. So, it is good to admire talent, to appreciate creativity. But remember, the most valuable part of any life is its truth, not its polished reflection. Your own story, with all its challenges and triumphs, is unique and important, far more than any image on a screen. Self-help books, fixing you, making you doubt. Have you ever felt like there was something wrong with you? Like you needed to be fixed to be happy or successful? Many books promise just that. They tell us we can be better, smarter, more confident. This sounds like a good idea, right? Helping people improve. But here's the problem. Sometimes, trying to make us perfect, these books can make us doubt who we already are. Think about it. For thousands of years, people looked for ways to live. Well, ancient thinkers wrote about wisdom, finding inner peace. Their ideas were often about understanding yourself, accepting your journey. Now, it feels different. Books tell us our habits are wrong, our thoughts flawed, our feelings need managing. It's like a constant whisper saying, "You aren't quite enough." Imagine you love to sing, just for fun. Then you read a book, Sing Like a Star in 30 Days. It lists all the correct ways to breathe, stand, and hit notes. If your voice doesn't sound exactly like the professional examples, you might feel bad about your natural talent. You might stop singing for joy. The book meant to help, but it made you question your unique sound, your own worth. It set a standard that felt impossible. So here's what matters. Maybe the real good idea isn't chasing some perfect self a book describes. Perhaps it's learning to be kind to the person we are right now. Growth is important, yes, but it should come from care, not from feeling broken. It's about building on our strengths, finding peace with our own messy, wonderful selves. Diet fads, quick fix, lasting harm. Have you noticed how fast healthy eating ideas pop up? One week, it's no fat. The next, no sugar. It starts as a whisper, then a loud promise. This is the answer. You'll feel amazing. People want a simple change. They just want to feel good. Diet fads promise an easy fix. They tackle complex problems like weight. The first idea behind them is often good, wanting well-being, but wanting something too fast, too much, can create unexpected trouble. For ages, people sought special ways to eat. They wanted to be stronger, live longer. Before science, it was about natural balance. Later, the search continued for perfect fuel. But our bodies are not simple machines. They are unique, complex, tied to our feelings. History shows groups believing their eating way was best. This sometimes caused judgment. The goal was often to help. But what happens when good intentions become too strict, too harmful? Imagine growing a strong tree. Instead of steady water and sun, you give it one supernutrient shot. Then you expect miracles. Or worse, you starve it because less is more. That tree might look okay briefly, but its roots will be weak. Our bodies are similar. These quick fixes often make us feel bad about normal food. They mess with our natural hunger. They can make us weaker or sick. So, while a diet fad might start with a good thought, its rigid rules and fast promises can deeply hurt. It chips away at self-worth. It makes eating a worry. It pushes our bodies into unhealthy places. This reminds us, true well-being comes from a kind, patient way. It's a gentle truth. Real health grows from steady care, not from sudden, loud rules about what's good. The internet, all the answers, all the lies. Have you ever thought about how the internet, which was supposed to bring us closer, can sometimes pull us apart instead? At first, the internet felt like a miracle. It was built on a truly good idea, to share knowledge, to connect people across oceans and borders. It promised a world where information was free, fast, and accessible to everyone. The people who dreamed it up believed that if everyone had access to all the answers, we would all become smarter, more understanding, maybe even kinder. This thinking goes back a long way, to philosophers who believed that if people just knew more, they would automatically do more good. The internet was meant to be the ultimate way to end ignorance. But here's the problem. What was supposed to be a clear stream of truth often became muddy. Think about it like your school cafeteria, bulletin board. In your library, the books are checked. They are mostly true. But the internet is like a bulletin board where anyone can pin anything up. Good stuff, yes, but also ideas that aren't true at all. Made up stories, rumors, even harmful lies. It's all mixed together, and it's really hard to tell what's real and what isn't. Imagine trying to find one true fact in a giant pile of whispers and made-up tales. It can be overwhelming, so this amazing tool, this network of endless information, holds both brightness and shadows. It gives us answers in an instant, but it also spreads things that aren't true, sometimes causing real damage. It's a powerful reminder that even the best ideas, the most hopeful dreams for connecting people and sharing knowledge, can sometimes turn into something darker if we don't use them carefully. We have to learn to look closely, to ask questions, and to really understand what we're seeing, and that's why it matters. Learning to find truth in all that noise is one of the most important skills we can gain. Mass production, stuff for everyone, less craft. Have you ever stopped to think about all the stuff around us? So many clothes, so many phones, so many identical toys. It's almost like magic, how everything appears so easily and in such huge numbers. Here's the thing, making things like this, what we call mass production, was born from a truly good idea. People wanted everyone to have access to things, not just the rich. They believed if we could make things faster and cheaper, more people could enjoy a better life. Way back, before big factories, almost everything was made by hand. Imagine a shoemaker spending days on one pair of shoes. Each pair was unique, crafted with skill. Then, people like Henry Ford came along and thought, what if we could make cars for everyone? So, they invented assembly lines. Workers did one small task over and over. It was fast, it made things affordable, and that seemed really good. It made cars, and then radios, and then everything else, available to millions. But here's the problem. While mass production gives us endless options and lower prices, it also changed something deep inside us and in the things we own. Think about your favorite t-shirt. If it came from a big factory, it's one of thousands just like it. It's not unique. Does it hold the same special feeling as, say, a hand-knitted scarf from your grandma? Probably not. When things are made quickly, by machines, they lose a piece of the human touch. They lose the story, the patience, the individual care that used to go into them. And that's why it matters. When things become easily replaceable, we might not value them as much. We throw them away faster. We forget the skill and effort it takes to create. The initial good idea of stuff for everyone began to quietly push aside the beauty of craft, making us see objects not as treasures, but just as things to be used up and tossed aside. It makes us wonder if having more really means having better. Skyscrapers, tall dreams, dark shadows. When you look up at a skyscraper, what do you feel? Maybe awe, or a sense of human triumph. These towers, reaching for the clouds, show how far we've come. They are monuments to our dreams, our will to build something grand, to touch the sky. And for a long time, building taller and taller seemed like a purely good idea. It meant progress, power, and a place for more people in bustling cities. But here's the thing, every tall dream can cast a long shadow. The idea of stacking metal and glass so high began with a simple desire for space, for efficiency. Yet, over time, it became about more than just buildings. It became about status, about who could build the highest, the most impressive. This ambition, though it started with good intentions, started to create problems. Think about it like this. Imagine building the tallest sandcastle on the beach. You feel proud, it looks amazing. But then, as the sun moves, your towering creation casts a massive shadow over everyone else's smaller castles, blocking their light. Or maybe it takes up so much space that no one else has room to build. In the real world, the rush to build skyscrapers sometimes meant clearing out old neighborhoods, forcing people to move. It meant concentrating wealth and power in a few shining towers, while the areas around them struggled. The immense amount of energy and materials needed to build and run these giants also leaves a big mark on our planet. They stand there, symbols of our ambition, but also silent reminders of what might be lost when we only look up and forget to look around. So, while these giants of glass and steel speak of human ingenuity, they also whisper about the hidden costs. They remind us that even our most magnificent achievements can hide complex truths, asking us to reflect on the real meaning of progress. Daylight saving time, more light, less sleep, even woken up, feeling a bit off, like your body thinks it's one time, but the clock on the wall insists it's another. That's the strange feeling many of us get when the world shifts into daylight. Saving time. The idea behind it is simple, and it sounds so good. We move our clocks forward by an hour in the spring, hoping to save daylight. This means the sun sets later in the evening. People thought this would mean less electricity needed for lights, and more time for everyone to enjoy the outdoors after a day of work or school. Imagine extra sunshine stretched into the evening. It felt like a smart way to manage the day. But here's the thing about our bodies. They don't just click forward with the clock. Deep inside us, we have a natural rhythm, almost like an internal timepiece, called the circadian rhythm. It's connected to the natural cycle of light and darkness. Think about a small plant turning its leaves to follow the sun, or a sleepy cat knowing exactly when it's time for a nap. Our bodies are just as tuned into these signals. When we suddenly change the clocks, even by just an hour, it can feel like a tiny case of jet lag. Even though you haven't gone anywhere, your body is still expecting one thing, but the world around you is suddenly on a different schedule. You might feel a little fuzzy-headed, a bit more tired, or just a tiny bit out of sync. That small hour, meant to give us more light, can actually disrupt the quiet harmony of our sleep. And sleep, as you know, is deeply important for how we learn, how we feel, and how we face the world. So, a good idea extending the daylight hours creates this quiet ripple. It's a gentle reminder that sometimes, when we try to bend time to our will, nature has its own steady rhythm that we can't entirely ignore. It makes you wonder about the delicate balance between our clever human plans and the ancient, quiet wisdom of our own bodies. Paper money, easy trade, less real value. Have you ever really held a dollar bill and wondered what it truly is? Not just as money, but as an object. It's just a piece of paper, carefully printed. Yet, we trade our time, our energy, our dreams for it. It feels so real, so powerful. But is it? For a very long time, people traded things directly. A farmer might swap grain for a blacksmith's tools. Later, they used things like precious metals, gold or silver, because these were rare, and everyone agreed they had value. But carrying heavy gold around was a problem. So, someone had a brilliant idea. What if we printed a promise? A paper note that said, "This piece of paper can be exchanged for a certain amount of gold." It was genius. Suddenly, trade was lighter, faster, easier. This was the good idea. It truly made life simpler. But here's the quiet truth about that simplicity. Paper money is not the gold itself. It's just a symbol. Think of it like a movie ticket. The ticket isn't the movie. It just promises you a seat. If the cinema closes or the movie is cancelled, that ticket becomes just a pretty piece of paper. Its value relied on the cinema's promise. It's the same with our money. Its worth relies on a shared belief, a collective trust in a government's promise. When that trust wavers, or when too many paper promises are made without enough real value behind them, strange things can happen. Prices can climb, and what felt like a lot of money yesterday might buy very little today. The paper, once a helpful stand-in for real wealth, can become a kind of illusion. It can whisper that wealth is just about piling up more paper, distracting us from the tangible things that truly feed us, shelter us, or connect us. It's a quiet lesson in the power and fragility of belief, and how something designed to ease our burdens can subtly reshape our understanding of what's truly valuable in the world. Vaccines, protecting health, spreading doubt. Have you ever thought how something truly good, meant to protect us, can get tangled in fear? It's a strange idea, but it happens. Take vaccines. For hundreds of years, terrible diseases like smallpox and polio swept the world. They stole lives, left people disabled, brought sadness. Then, we figured out how to create tiny shields for our bodies, teaching them to fight off invaders. And that's exactly what vaccines did. They were a miracle. They lifted shadows of sickness. Millions of lives were saved. Communities thrived. This was a purely good idea, born from science and a deep desire to keep people safe. It was a gift, a promise of a future without preventable diseases. But here's the problem. Even the best intentions can be doubted. Imagine your school's fire alarm. Everyone takes it seriously at first. It's for safety. But then, whispers start. Maybe someone says the alarm is broken, or the drills are just a trick. People start to ignore it. The alarm's good intention, meant to protect everyone, gets buried under confusion. Vaccines faced something similar. Not because they stopped working, but because untrue stories began to spread. These were whispers of doubt, not about the science, but about trust. These fears, even if not based on facts, could grow. They chipped away at the simple truth. Vaccines were created to be a shield, to protect each of us and our community. So, here's what happened. A truly good idea, a life-saving breakthrough, became caught in a struggle of truth versus fear. It reminds us that even wonderful creations need protection with understanding and clear thinking. We need to remember the quiet battles it wins daily, the illnesses it prevents, and the hope it still holds for a healthier future for everyone. The assembly line, fast work, repetitive lives. Have you ever wondered what it's like to do the exact same thing, hour after hour, day after day? Imagine a machine, but you are the part that moves. This is the heart of the assembly line. It sounds simple, right? A good idea. Even back in the early 1900s, a man named Henry Ford wanted to make cars that everyone could afford. Before him, building a car took forever. Skilled craftspeople would make one car from start to finish. It was slow and expensive, so Ford had an idea. Break the job into tiny, simple steps. Instead of one person building a whole car, Many people would each do just one small part, over and over, as the car moved past them on a conveyor belt. This meant cars could be built super fast, and for much less money. More people could buy them. This was a good idea for progress, for making things available to more families. But here's the thing about good ideas. Sometimes, they have a shadow side. While the assembly line sped up production, what did it do to the human spirit? Imagine your brain is like a muscle that gets stronger by solving problems, by being creative. On an assembly line, you don't solve big problems, you just repeat. A movement is like only ever doing one kind of jump rope trick. You get very good at that one trick, but other parts of you might get bored or even feel dull. The work became incredibly fast, but the lives of the workers often felt repetitive, even empty. They were just gears in a much bigger machine. This idea, meant to bring abundance, also brought a kind of quiet suffering. It showed us that making things efficient isn't always good for people in the long run. Sometimes, even the best intentions can dim the human spark. We gain speed, but we might lose something deeply human along the way. The nuclear family, close bonds, isolated lives. Have you ever stopped to wonder why we often picture families the way we do? A mum, a dad, maybe a couple of kids, living in their own house, just them. This idea, called the nuclear family, feels so normal, like it's always been this way. We thought it was a really good idea, a way to build strong, tight-knit bonds, a little island of love and support. And that's why it matters. This idea was meant to protect us, to keep us close. For a long, long time, families weren't just parents and kids. They were grandmas, uncles, cousins, all living nearby, maybe even in the same big house or village. Everyone helped raise the children. Everyone shared the worries and the joys. But as the world changed, as people moved to cities for work, the idea of a smaller, independent family started to seem better. It was simpler, cleaner. Each home became its own world, a private bubble. Think of it like this. Imagine a single, very bright spotlight in a huge, dark room. The light shines intensely on a small circle, your nuclear family, making everything inside that circle feel incredibly clear and important. But just outside that light, it's dark. It means that while the people inside the light feel deeply connected to each other, they might also feel quite alone from the rest of the world. All the pressures, all the happiness, all the sadness gets held within that small, brightly lit space dot. So, this good idea of close family ties, of a safe haven, quietly brought something else with it. Sometimes, it brought a kind of quiet loneliness. It put a heavy weight on just a few people to be everything for each other. The support system, the teachers, the entertainers, the problem solvers. The hope was to strengthen bonds, but sometimes, by making those bonds so private, we accidentally cut ourselves off from the wider, older safety net of a bigger community. It shows how even the best intentions can have hidden, deep ripples. Animal testing. Science's progress. Animal pain. Have you ever stopped to think about the medicine in your cabinet, or the new lotion you might use? Where do these things come from? How do we know they are safe for us? For a long, long time, the answer was often, they were tested on animals. This idea, to use living creatures like mice, rabbits, and dogs to check for safety, seemed like a good one at first. The goal was to protect human lives, to find cures for terrible diseases, to make sure products wouldn't hurt people. In the past, many scientists believed animals didn't feel pain or fear the way humans do. Or maybe, they just didn't want to think about it too much. They saw animals as tools, a quicker way to learn about our own bodies and how chemicals might affect us, especially before we had other ways to test things. It was a time when the drive to save human lives was so strong, it overshadowed questions about the cost to other living beings. Here's the thing. Imagine you're building a new kind of bridge. You need to know it's strong enough, right? So, you might build a small model and test its limits. But what if, instead of a model, you used real, living creatures to walk across it, over and over, until it broke, and they couldn't choose to stop? The idea was to learn and build a better bridge for people. But the process meant real suffering for those who had no say. This practice, born from a deep desire to heal and protect humans, often brought quiet, hidden pain to countless animals. It makes us pause and wonder, when we chase progress, what is the full price we are willing to pay? Is something truly good if it causes so much unseen harm, even if it saves lives? It asks us to look at the shadows behind our brightest ideas and consider every living thing. Free markets, open trade, hidden costs. Have you ever stopped to wonder about the journey of the clothes you wear, or the phone in your hand? Where do they begin? What hands touched them? Here's the thing about free markets. The idea feels so bright and hopeful at first. Imagine a world where people can just trade what they need, without many rules. No one tells you what to sell or buy. This vision, born long ago, believed that if people were free to trade, an unseen magic would make everything work out. Everyone, from seller to buyer, would end up better off. It seemed like such a good, simple idea, full of promise. But here's the problem. Sometimes, the path of freedom, even when meant for good, can lead to surprising places. Think about that new pair of sneakers you might want. They're designed in one place, parts made in many countries, then put together in another. This long journey, made possible by open trade, often means those sneakers are cheaper for you. That sounds good, right? But what if, along that journey, the factory workers worked long hours for very little money? Or what if the dyes used to color the fabric polluted a river far away, hurting the fish and the people living there? And what if, because these sneakers are cheap, the small shoe shop down your street, where shoes were made by hand, can't compete and has to close? So, an idea meant to bring abundance and freedom can quietly leave unfairness or damage behind. It makes us think about our invisible connections to the world, and how our choices, even small ones, ripple outwards. It reminds us that every good idea, however pure, needs gentle checking. The space race, reaching stars, empty pockets. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, feeling small but also full of wonder? Imagine a time when two powerful nations looked up to, not just with wonder, but with a fierce desire to reach those distant stars first. This was the space race. It seemed like the best idea ever. It was about pushing what was possible, about science, about human bravery. Everyone watching felt excited as rockets soared higher, faster. Back then, in the middle of what was called the Cold War, the United States and the Soviet Union were rivals. They competed in everything, and space became the ultimate proving ground. Who could launch the first satellite? Who could send the first person into orbit? Who could land on the moon first? Billions of dollars were poured into this race, and brilliant minds worked day and night. The goal was glory, national pride, and showing the world who was stronger. But here's the thing. While the rockets lifted off, carrying dreams and hopes to the heavens, what was happening on the ground? All that money, all that focus, it had to come from somewhere. Imagine if your school decided to spend all its money on building one amazing, super high climbing wall, the tallest in the state. It would be cool, yes, something to brag about. But what if it meant there was no money left for new books, or repairs to the heating system, or even enough teachers? The climbing wall is there, impressive and shiny, but the everyday needs of the students are struggling. The space race was a bit like that. While we reached for the moon, many important needs here on Earth were left behind. Money that could have fixed crumbling roads, built better hospitals, or helped struggling families was instead launched into the vast emptiness of space. It reminds us that even the most inspiring goals, born from a good intention like discovery or pride, can have a hidden cost. Sometimes, in reaching so far for something magnificent, we might accidentally create an emptiness closer to home. It makes you wonder, what do we truly value when we aim for the stars? Uniforms, team spirit, lost individuality. Have you ever stopped to think about a uniform? Not just the clothes, but what they truly mean. We see them everywhere. On sports teams, in schools, worn by soldiers, or people working in hospitals. The idea behind a uniform is often so good, so simple. It's meant to build something special, something strong, like team spirit. It says, we are together, we belong. When everyone looks the same, it can feel like everyone is equal, part of one big group. It can feel like unity. And that's how it works in many places. Think about a choir, all dressed in matching robes. They sing as one voice, right? The uniform helps them feel like a single, beautiful sound. Or a school where everyone wears the same polo shirt. It might make some kids feel less singled out, less judged for their clothes. For a moment, maybe, everyone feels part of the same tribe, moving towards the same goal. But here's the problem, the quiet, hidden cost. When you put on a uniform, something else often happens. That unique spark inside each person, the small ways you show who you are, that can get a little lost. Imagine a drop of water. By itself, it's a perfect, unique sphere. It reflects light in its own way. But when it joins a giant wave in the ocean, it becomes part of something bigger. Yes, it helps the wave move forward, but it also loses its individual shape. It's no longer just that drop. It's part of the wave. Our clothes, our hairstyles, our little personal choices, these are often how we show the world who we are. They are small whispers of our unique selves. When a uniform covers that up, even with good intentions, it can make it harder for someone to express what makes them them. It can be a silent push to conform, to blend in, to let the group identity overshadow the individual heart. It's a delicate balance, learning to belong without losing the precious thread of who you truly are. School bells, organized days, rushed learning, that sound. The school bell, what does it really mean to us? For so long we've heard its ring. It tells us when to start, when to stop, when to move. It's supposed to bring order, right? The idea was good. Get everyone on the same schedule. Make learning fair and efficient. A good idea, meant to organize our days so we could learn the most. But sometimes, even the best ideas can lead us somewhere unexpected. Think about how schools first became so structured. It was around the time factories were becoming common. People looked at factories, how everything was timed and organized to make things quickly, and thought, hey, why not do that with learning? So, schools started to use bells and strict schedules, just like a factory floor. The goal was to teach as many students as possible in the most organized way. Here's the thing, while order can be helpful, too much order can make us feel rushed. Imagine you're finally understanding a tough math problem, or you're deep in thought about a story, or a science experiment is just about to show something cool. Your mind is really working, and then, ding, the bell rings. Time's up. You have to stop, pack up, and move. That sudden stop cuts off your thinking. It doesn't let your mind fully explore or truly settle on a new idea. It's like trying to finish a long, meaningful conversation when someone keeps telling you, time's up, move on, every few minutes. So, the bells, meant to organize our days, often end up pushing us through learning too fast. We learn to obey the clock more than we learn to deeply explore a subject. It leaves us wondering, are we truly learning, or just rushing through topics, trying to beat the bell? What do we lose when the clock dictates our curiosity? It's a quiet question, one that keeps ringing long after the final bell. Time clocks, fair pay, lost trust. What if a tool meant for good quietly pulled something precious apart? Think of time clocks. You punch in, you punch out. It seems simple. Ensure fair pay for every minute worked. No one cheats, just a clear record. This idea began when factory workers faced unfair treatment, enduring long hours for little pay. The time clock arrived as a step toward justice. It was meant to protect workers, ensuring their effort was valued. It promised fairness. But here's what happened. What if that tool, meant for fairness, felt like a cage? When the focus shifted from trusting people to just watching a cold, ticking clock, something vital faded. Imagine sharing chores with a friend. You trust each other, but what if you timed their every move, measuring every second? The goal might be fair shares, but how would it feel? Like teamwork, or constant watching and suspicion? The time clock, designed for fair pay, sometimes whispers, I don't quite trust you. It stops being about counting work. It becomes monitoring for doubt. It turns human connection into a stark, cold number, and that's why it matters. Replacing trust with rigid systems gains control, but we lose something vital, dignity, the quiet warmth of believing in each other. Can real fairness exist without strong mutual trust? Or does too much counting always leave us poorer in spirit? Homework, learning more, burning out. Have you ever stopped to think about homework? We just do it, right? It's part of school. The main idea behind homework was always good. Teachers believed it would help students remember things better, practice skills, and learn more deeply on their own. It was a way to make sure learning wasn't just stuck in the classroom. This sounds like a really good idea, something that would help us grow smarter and more capable. And it can. A little practice, a bit of extra thinking. These things can truly help. But here's the thing. What happens when a good idea, meant to build us up, starts to wear us down instead? The history of homework, in its simplest form, was about extending learning beyond the school bell. It was supposed to be a tool, a helper, but over time, for many students, it became a heavy load, something that felt less like help and more like endless work. This is where a good intention can start to cause something less than good. Think about it like this. Imagine your favorite athlete. They train every day, right? A certain amount of training builds strength, speed, and skill. It makes them better. That's like the good side of homework, building your brain muscles. But if that athlete trains too much, without any rest, without any time to recover, what happens? Their body breaks down. They get injured. They feel tired all the time. They might even start to hate the sport they once loved. That's a kind of burnout. It's the same with our minds. When learning is pushed too far, without enough time for rest, for play, for simply being, it can lead to exhaustion. Our brains get tired, our spirits dim. The evil here isn't someone planning something bad, but the quiet harm of pushing a good thing past its helpful limit. It reminds us that even the best intentions need careful watching, because the line between helping and hurting can be surprisingly thin. Video games, fun escape, real life lost. Do you ever find yourself staring at a screen, hours melting away as you navigate a new world? Video games, they started as simple puzzles, maybe just a bouncing pixel. A good idea, right? A way to unwind, to challenge your mind, to connect with friends across distances, a perfect escape from the daily grind. And that's why it matters so much. For centuries, people have sought ways to step outside themselves, to find a moment of peace or thrilling adventure beyond their everyday lives. Storytelling, art, even just simple daydreaming served this purpose. Games are a modern version of that deep human need. Think about ancient people playing board games or gathering to listen to epic tales around fires. It was about losing yourself for a bit, finding a different kind of freedom, a break from reality. Now, digital worlds offer that same powerful pull, often stronger, more vivid, promising endless possibilities. But here's the problem. What if the escape becomes the only place you want to be? It's like a warm, cozy blanket that feels so good. You never want to leave your bed. It feels safe and thrilling. But while you're wrapped up in that virtual world, the real world keeps turning, quietly, relentlessly. Sunlight fades, friends call, family waits, and responsibilities pile up. You might miss a spontaneous laugh with your sibling, a real-life adventure outdoors under an actual sky, or the quiet satisfaction of finishing homework. That real-life time, those real-life moments, are precious. They are gone forever once. They pass, like sand slipping through your fingers. So, a good idea, something meant for fun and escape, can slowly, quietly, lead to a different kind of loss. Not a loss of points or levels in a game, but a loss of moments that make up your actual, unique life story. It's about remembering that the richest adventures often happen not on a screen, but in the messy, wonderful, unscripted world around us. The true challenge isn't just in the game, but in finding a gentle balance, in cherishing both worlds and knowing when to step back into the sun. Public transportation, easy rides, crowded spaces. Have you ever stopped to think about a bus rolling down the street, or a train pulling into the station? It feels so simple, doesn't it? Just hop on, and off you go. The idea behind public transportation was truly beautiful. It was about giving everyone a chance to move, to connect, to reach their jobs or homes without needing their own car. Imagine a city where everyone could travel easily, no matter how much money they had. That was the dream, freedom of movement, for all. And here's the thing. For a long time, travel was hard for many. Cities grew, but not everyone could afford a horse and buggy, then later, a car. So, people came up with trains and trolleys and buses. These were meant to bring people together, to make communities stronger by making them more accessible. It was a good idea, a truly helpful one, born from a desire for fairness. But think about a school hallway at dismissal. When it's just a few students, it's easy to walk, to chat, but when everyone pours out at once, suddenly it's a tight squeeze. You're bumping shoulders, trying to get through, and that feeling of easy movement turns into a feeling of being squished. It's the same with public transport. The very thing meant to give freedom can sometimes make us feel trapped. The closeness meant for easy rides can become crowded spaces. Your private bubble shrinks. Being so close to so many strangers can sometimes feel less like warm connection and more like a cold loss of self. Just another face in a blur of faces. The noble idea of everyone moving freely together can, in its vastness, accidentally make us feel less free, less seen, and sometimes, simply, a little bit lost in the crowd. It's a quiet truth about how good intentions can sometimes create complex challenges. Law enforcement, keeping order, unfair power. Think about a community, any community, from a small town to a huge city. What keeps it from falling into chaos? What makes sure people generally play fair? We create systems to keep things safe. Law enforcement is one of those systems. It's built on a good idea, to protect us, to make sure laws are followed, to keep the peace. For thousands of years, people have tried to live together, and for just as long, they've needed ways to deal with trouble. Ancient kings had guards, villagers had elders who set rules. The main idea was always to protect the many from the few who might do harm. It's like a quiet promise we make to each other. I'll follow the rules, if you do too, and someone will make sure we all stay safe. This system is meant to work for everyone, but here's the problem. Imagine a school playground. You need teachers or monitors to make sure everyone is safe and plays fairly. But what if one monitor decides they can always pick who gets to play with the best ball, or who gets to go first, just because they have the power? The good idea of keeping order can slowly become a way to show unfair power. The very people meant to protect can sometimes cause harm if that power isn't watched closely. This isn't about blaming, it's about seeing the shadow that can grow even from the brightest intentions. The uniform, the badge, the authority, they are meant to be a shield for the weak, a sword for justice. But sometimes, they can become a barrier, a tool of control for the powerful. It's a heavy thought, isn't it? So, when we look at law enforcement, we see this deep human need for safety, for order. But we also see how easily that very need can be twisted, how the search for peace can lead to injustice. It reminds us that even the best ideas need constant care, constant questioning. We must always remember that true power isn't just about control. It's about responsibility, about serving everyone equally and with a gentle hand. Charity, helping others, creating dependence. Have you ever thought how wanting to help someone, truly help them, could cause a deeper problem? It sounds strange, right? We often see charity as purely good, a bright light. And it is, in many ways. But here's the thing. Even kind intentions, not thought through, can create unexpected challenges. Charity means giving aid to those in need. It's compassion, reaching out a hand. But what if that hand stops someone from learning to stand alone? What if constant giving makes it harder for them to develop their own strengths, their own ways to solve problems? This isn't about blaming good people. It's about seeing how actions have many ripples. Through history, people helped each other. Villagers shared food, but thinkers long wrestled with this. They asked, does providing everything prevent true growth? Is it better to teach a person to fish, or just give them fish daily? Societies grappled with this for centuries. It's about dignity, empowerment, and lasting change versus quick fixes. Imagine a small garden plant. You water it, give it sun. But what if you always hold it up with a stick? Its stem might never strengthen against wind. It grows, yes, but its roots won't dig deep. The plant might never stand on its own if you remove the stick. Similarly, if we always provide needs without fostering self-reliance, we might accidentally make people dependent, like that plant. So, when we offer help, it's not enough to just give. We also need to ask, are we building bridges to independence, or just a comfortable place to stay? True kindness isn't only about the moment. It's about helping someone discover their own power, their own path forward. It's about seeing the whole person, not just their immediate need. Bodybuilding, stronger selves, unhealthy obsession. Have you ever looked in a mirror and wished you looked different? Wished you were stronger, faster, maybe more muscular? It's a very human feeling, wanting to improve yourself. The idea behind bodybuilding, at its heart, feels good. It's about building a better you, pushing your body to be its best, strongest self. And that's a good idea, right? To be healthy and fit. For a long time, people have admired strong, capable bodies. Think about ancient Greek statues. They show powerful, balanced figures. The Greeks believed a strong body showed a strong mind, a disciplined spirit. It was about wholeness, about being excellent in every way. The idea was to build a strong physical self, to support a strong overall life. It was about reaching your potential. But here's the thing about good ideas. Sometimes they can twist. They can become something else, something harmful. Imagine you want to get really good grades, which is a great goal, so you study. But what if you study so much, you stop sleeping, stop eating right, stop seeing your friends? What if you become so focused on the grade that you make yourself sick and miserable? The good idea of studying for success has turned into an unhealthy obsession. It's similar with bodybuilding. What starts as wanting to be healthy or strong can become a constant, endless chase. The mirror stops showing progress and starts showing only flaws. Every muscle isn't quite big enough. Every definition isn't quite sharp enough. The goal shifts from feeling strong inside to looking a certain way on the outside, a way that's almost impossible to reach. And then, the weights and diets, once tools for health, can become chains. They can trap you in a cycle where you're never satisfied, never truly happy with who you are. The quest for strength can actually make you weaker, not in your muscles, but in your spirit, in your joy. So, when does a good idea, like wanting a strong body, become something that causes harm? It happens when the pursuit of perfection overtakes health, happiness, and a balanced life. It reminds us that true strength isn't just about how big your muscles are, but about how strong you are inside, how well you know and accept yourself. Digital art, new creations, lost skills. Have you ever wondered if gaining something truly new means letting go of something precious and old? Think about digital art, how it's everywhere now. Today, incredible worlds burst into vibrant life on screens. Artists use tablets and software to paint pictures, sculpt figures, and build animations that would have seemed like magic just a few years ago. Here's what I found. It's amazing to see colors bloom from mere pixels and impossible shapes form with a simple click. This new way lets more people create, which is a wonderful thing for sharing ideas. But here's the problem, a quiet thought that lingers. For thousands of years, artists learned with their hands, really with them. They mixed paints, felt the gritty clay, carved stone, their skin connecting to the very material. They understood materials in a very deep, almost spiritual way. Their muscles learned the rhythm of a brushstroke, the exact weight of a chisel. When we rely totally on digital tools, some of those old physical skills, that muscle memory, might slowly fade away. It's a bit like using a calculator for every single math problem. You get the answer quickly, and that's super helpful. But if you never practice mental math, your brain might lose some of its own ability to figure things out without help. And that's why it matters. Digital art is a powerful new language, a way to tell stories and share visions in fresh, bold ways. But what about the quiet patience of a painter waiting for a layer of oil to dry, or the unique, almost accidental texture of a charcoal drawing, the tiny imperfections that make it so distinctly human? Our tools don't just help us make things, they quietly shape us. The act of creating, truly with hands and heart, has always involved a certain kind of struggle, a physical dance with the medium. Perhaps we need to remember that connection, even as we embrace the dazzling ease of the new. It's not about choosing one over the other. It's about being aware of what we gain and what we might gently forget, as we move forward into a world of endless, brilliant pixels. Factory farms, cheap meat, animal suffering. Have you ever stopped to think about why some of our food, like a chicken nugget or a burger, can be so incredibly inexpensive? Here's the thing. Often, that low price comes from a system called factory farming. This idea started from a good place. After big wars, and as populations grew, people needed lots of food, quickly. So, we figured out how to raise animals, like chickens and pigs, much faster and in huge numbers. The goal was to feed everyone, to end hunger. That sounds like a truly good idea, right? But here's what happened. To make food so cheap, animals started to be treated less like living creatures and more like machines designed to produce meat or eggs. Imagine you're a chicken. Instead of scratching for worms in a sunny yard, you might live your whole life packed tightly with thousands of other chickens in a huge building, never seeing the sky or feeling fresh air. You're given special food to grow big, really fast. It's like having to live in a tiny closet for your entire life, just so you can get bigger as quickly as possible. Every day is the same, just food and darkness or artificial light, never truly knowing what it means to be a chicken. This system is incredibly efficient, like a factory assembly line. It gets the job done. But here's the problem. That efficiency often means suffering for the animals. Their natural instincts to roam, to build nests, to simply be themselves are taken away. It's a quiet suffering, hidden away from our dinner plates. We get our cheap meat, but at what cost to another living being? It makes you wonder about the trade-offs we make, how a good idea meant to feed the world can lead to a quiet kind of pain. This is a heavy thought, a kind of hum beneath the everyday convenience we often take for granted. Sugary drinks, sweet refreshment, health problems. Have you ever felt that cool, sweet rush from a cold drink on a hot day? That fizzy, sugary explosion on your tongue? For many years, making drinks sweeter felt like a truly good idea. People wanted more flavor, more energy, a simple pleasure they could grab easily. And so, sugary drinks became incredibly popular, flowing like rivers of sweetness around the world. Think about it. Sugar itself was once a rare, expensive spice, used in small amounts. But then, as history moved forward, it became cheap and easy to get. Factories learned how to make huge amounts of it. Soon, almost anything could be made sweeter, including our drinks. The idea was simple: make life a little better, a little more enjoyable, one sweet sip at a time. This seemed like a kind, even generous thing to do, making a once rare treat available to everyone. But here's the thing about good ideas: sometimes, when they get too big or too common, they change. It's like how a small, cozy fire can warm a room perfectly. That's a good idea. But if that same fire grows too large, roaring out of control, it stops being helpful and starts destroying things. Sugary drinks are a bit like that. What started as a simple, delightful treat, something to enjoy occasionally, slowly became an everyday habit for many. And with that constant flood of sweetness, our bodies began to feel the strain. So, a good idea making things taste amazing and feel refreshing and intentionally brought along big challenges for our health. It shows us how even the purest intentions, when they spread wildly and without much thought, can lead us down difficult paths. We learn that true wisdom often means looking beyond the immediate sweetness to understand the full, complex story of something. Artificial lighting, bright nights, lost stars. Have you ever really seen the night sky? I mean, truly seen it, far from city lights. For centuries, darkness was a challenge. It felt dangerous, cold, full of unknowns. So, people invented light. A really good idea, right? To make our nights bright, safe, and easier. We strung up bulbs, lit up streets, filled our homes with a glow that never ends. We chased away the shadows, little by little. From campfires to oil lamps, then gas, then electric bulbs. Each step felt like big progress, like winning against the wild night. We thought we were gaining so much by bringing light everywhere. We became less afraid of what hid in the dark, and our days seemed to stretch longer, more productive. But here's the thing: imagine you always have your phone screen on, even when you're not looking at it. It's handy, always bright. But after a while, your eyes get tired, and you start to forget what it's like to just be without a screen glow. Our bodies are like that too. We're made to feel the natural rhythm of day and night. But with endless bright lights, that rhythm gets messed up. It can make it harder to sleep, harder to truly rest. And what did we lose in all that endless brightness? We lost the quiet wonder of the stars, the vast, sparkling story of the universe, hidden by our own bright ambition. The stars, once guides and storytellers, now just faint whispers, almost forgotten. We built a world where we never really have to face the dark, and in doing so, we might have forgotten what the dark had to teach us. A good idea to banish the dark, but it also dimmed something ancient and beautiful inside us. Mass media, instant news, misleading stories. Have you ever thought about how quickly news travels today? One moment, something happens across the world, and the next, it's on your phone screen. This idea of instant connection, sharing information, widely and freely, felt like a truly good thing, didn't it? For a long time, people dreamed of a world where everyone could know everything, breaking down walls with knowledge. Think back, not so long ago, news traveled slowly. Letters, then newspapers, then radio, then television. Each step brought us closer to The promise was beautiful, a well-informed public, people making good choices because they had all the facts. It was meant to bring us together, to help us understand each other's lives, no matter how far apart we were. But here's the thing: when news becomes a flash, it can also become a blur, like a game of telephone played across the whole planet, where the message changes just a little bit with each retelling. Or consider a single photograph. It seems so real, doesn't it? But a picture can be cropped, angled, or given a different caption, and suddenly, it tells a completely different story. The good idea was to show the truth, but sometimes, the rush to be first, or the desire to make a point, twists that truth. This isn't new, really. People have always told stories that changed reality a little, for good reasons or bad. But now, with mass media, a small twist can touch millions of minds in seconds. A single headline can paint a whole group of people in a wrong light, or create fear where there was none. And that fear, or that wrong idea, can ripple out, causing real harm. So, what does this mean for us? It means we get to choose. We get to slow down. Even when the world rushes by, we can look closer, ask questions, and remember that even the clearest picture can hide a larger, more complex truth. It's about being thoughtful, about holding on to our own clear thinking, even in a world full of fast, loud whispers. Because the good idea of sharing information still matters, but only if we also share the care to get it right. The Olympic Games, global unity, political fights. Have you ever stopped to think about what the Olympic Games truly are? Deep down, picture this: athletes from every corner of the earth, gathering together. They speak different languages, live in different ways, but for a few weeks, they share a field, a track, a pool. The idea is beautiful, isn't it? It's about global unity, a moment where competition brings people closer, not farther apart. Back in ancient Greece, where the Olympics first began, there was even a sacred truce. Wars would pause. Travelers could journey safely to the games. It was a time dedicated to peace, to celebrating human strength and spirit. The dream was simple. Let sports be a bridge, not a barrier. Let our shared love for skill and effort overcome our differences. But here's the thing about good ideas. Sometimes, they meet the messy reality of human nature and power. That noble dream of unity often bumps right into political fights and national pride that can get out of hand. Instead of pure sport, the games can become a stage for protests. Countries refuse to attend. Athletes become symbols of their government's beliefs, not just their own talent. The very event meant to unite can highlight how divided the world still is. Think about it like this. Imagine your class is planning a big field day. The goal is fun, teamwork, and making good memories together. Everyone agrees on that. But then, different groups start arguing about which games to play, or who gets to be team captain, or whose ideas are better. Soon, the joy of playing together gets lost in the arguments. The good idea of a fun field day turns sour because of power struggles and disagreements. So, the Olympics stand as a powerful reminder. They show us how a truly good idea, like gathering the world in peace, can still be bent and pulled by human conflict. It makes you wonder, can we ever truly separate our shared human spirit from the complicated world of politics? The hope remains, though. The dream of unity still shines, even when the shadows of division fall across it. And that's why it matters, because it teaches us about both our highest hopes and our toughest challenges. High-rise living, city views, lonely walls. We often gaze at tall buildings, those towers reaching for the clouds. They seem to promise so much, don't they? The idea of high-rise living felt so good. Cities were growing fast, and land was expensive. How could we fit more people into smaller spaces? Building up seemed like the perfect answer. It was efficient, offered incredible views, and let more people live close to their jobs and the city's heart. It felt like progress, a smart solution for crowded cities. But here's the thing. While these buildings soared, something quiet started to change. When people moved up, they often moved away from the shared spaces below, away from front porches where neighbors chatted, away from children playing on the sidewalk. The wide-open views often looked down on a world that felt separate. Instead of easy hellos, there were silent elevator rides. Instead of community, there were long, quiet hallways. Think about playing a huge online game. You're connected to hundreds of other players, all in the same digital world. But are you really with them, or just alone in your room, seeing names on a screen? High-rise living can sometimes feel like that. Lots of people are incredibly close, just a wall away, but they can also be worlds apart, living parallel lives, rarely connecting. So a brilliant idea to house many people efficiently and beautifully accidentally built walls of silence between them. The good idea to save space and offer breathtaking views sometimes brought a hidden cost, a quiet feeling of being alone, even in a crowded city. It makes you wonder how the spaces we create for good can sometimes make us feel unexpectedly empty. Home appliances, easy chores, less movement. Have you ever stopped to truly think about your washing machine, or that quiet dishwasher humming in the kitchen? They're amazing, right? They promise us ease, freeing up hours once spent scrubbing clothes by hand or washing mountains of dishes. It feels like a truly good idea. More time for homework, for friends, for hobbies. And for a long time, that was the dream. A home where machines did the heavy lifting, making life softer, less demanding. Here's the thing. Sometimes, a very good idea can slowly, almost silently, lead us somewhere we didn't intend. Centuries ago, daily life was full of movement. Washing clothes meant bending, lifting, scrubbing. Cleaning floors meant sweeping, pushing, stooping. These were chores, yes, but they were also constant. Gentle exercise built into the rhythm of the day. Our bodies were always in motion, part of the work of living. Now, with the press of a button, a machine whirs to life, taking over the physical work. It's like having a car to drive a block instead of walking. The car is a good idea for long distances, but for a short walk, it robs us of a moment of fresh air, a stretch of our legs. In the same way, these helpful appliances, while saving us effort, also subtly nudge us toward a more still, less active existence. It's not just about losing an hour of chores. It's about losing those small built-in movements that our bodies, over thousands of years, came to expect. So as these wonderful machines hum softly in our homes, whispering promises of ease, they also ask us to consider a quiet question. What do we truly gain when we shed physical effort? And what do we, perhaps, without ever meaning to, leave behind? Our bodies need to move, to engage with the world, not just watch it spin from the couch. It's a gentle reminder that sometimes the easiest path isn't always the one that serves our deeper human needs. The stock market, growing wealth, crushing crashes. Have you ever imagined a world where dreams could be bought and sold, where a tiny piece of an idea could grow into something vast and strong? That's almost what the stock market promised. Picture this: many people, each with a small amount of money, deciding to pool resources, not to build a single house, but to fund a grand ship crossing oceans, or a factory making new wonders, or even a medicine to cure diseases. The idea was beautiful, really. Everyone could own a little share of these big ventures, like holding a single thread in a magnificent tapestry being woven. When the company did well, everyone's thread became more valuable. It was a shared hope, a collective belief, where wealth could sprout like a strong oak from a tiny acorn, benefiting many. But here's the quiet whisper that sometimes turns good intentions sour. What happens when that peaceful growth, that shared dream, gets swallowed by something else inside us? A hunger for more, a fear of being left behind. Think about a school fundraiser for a new playground. Everyone is excited, chipping in. But then, some kids start trying to outdo each other, or someone spreads a rumor that the playground will never be built, causing panic. That happy, shared effort can unravel. The stock market can feel like that. It's a place where the calm waters of investment, meant to nurture growth, can suddenly turn into a raging storm. When whispers of fear become shouts of panic, or a wild chase for quick riches takes over, people rush to sell their shares. Values plummet. Imagine a beautiful sandcastle, built carefully by many hands. If one person kicks at it from greed, or a wave of panic washes over everyone, the whole structure can collapse, not because the sand was bad, but because the human hands building it lost their way. It shows us how even the brightest ideas, meant to help everyone, can be twisted by the darker sides of human nature, leaving devastation where hope once stood. And it leaves us wondering, how do we tend the gardens of our shared dreams, so they don't become overgrown with thorns? Supermarkets, endless choices, food waste. When you step into a supermarket, what do you see? Aisles stretch out, bursting with every color, every kind of food you can imagine. Bright red apples, golden bananas, rows of sparkling drinks. It feels like a magic trick, doesn't it? A place where hunger can always be answered, where endless possibility whispers from every shelf. This idea, this promise of abundance for everyone, feels incredibly good, like a dream come true for humanity. It was born from a desire to make life easier, to ensure no one went without. But here's the thing, this wonderful dream, this endless choice, casts a long shadow. Not so long ago, our great-grandparents didn't know this kind of plenty. Food was precious. Every berry picked, every potato harvested, was deeply valued. You ate what you grew, or what a local farmer brought in. There was less extra, less to go around, so nothing was wasted. People truly understood the effort and delicate balance behind every single bite. Now, we live in a world where it seems there's always more. If one apple looks bruised, we simply grab another. If a carton of milk is a day past its date, it's easily tossed. Think of it like a huge science experiment. When you have an unlimited supply of something, say, drawing paper for an art project, do you use each sheet as carefully as when you only have one left? Probably not. The sheer amount of food in our stores, while a blessing in one way, can make us less careful with it. It makes us forget the incredible energy, the precious water, the countless human hours that went into growing each orange, raising each animal, baking each loaf of bread. So, this good idea to feed everyone, to give us limitless options, quietly birthed a problem. Beneath the bright lights of abundance, mountains of good, edible food get thrown away, day after day. It's a quiet tragedy happening in the background of our busy lives, often unseen. Maybe it's about remembering that even in a world of such amazing plenty, every single crumb still carries a story, still holds immense value. It's about seeing the shadow, and perhaps finding a new way to appreciate the light. Fertilizers, better crops, polluted rivers. Have you ever thought about how much food we need to grow to feed everyone on Earth? For a long time, feeding the world was a huge struggle. People were often hungry, and crops sometimes failed. So, scientists had a truly good idea. What if we could give plants extra food, making them grow bigger and faster? This is where fertilizers came in. Imagine the excitement. Suddenly, fields could grow much more food than ever before. It meant fewer hungry people. It felt like a simple, wonderful solution to a massive problem. Farmers could enrich their soil and watch their crops thrive. It was a leap forward in feeding communities and helping societies grow. The thought was pure: nourish the earth, nourish humanity. But here's the problem, and it's a quiet, slow one. When we give the soil more nutrients than the plants can use, what happens to the rest? It's a bit like adding too much sugar to a drink. You only sweeten it so much, and the extra just sits there, dissolving. With fertilizers, the extra nutrients don't just vanish. When it rains, these leftover chemicals wash away from the fields. They flow into ditches, then into streams, then into rivers, and finally out to our lakes and oceans. These extra nutrients act like superfood for tiny water plants, called algae. The algae grow wild, covering the surface of the water in thick, green mats. It looks pretty bad, but the real trouble starts when these huge blankets of algae die. As they break down, they use up all the oxygen in the water. Fish can't breathe. Crabs, snails, and other water creatures die. These spots become dead zones. So, an idea born from kindness to feed hungry people also led to sick rivers and lifeless parts of our oceans. It teaches us that even the best intentions, the most hopeful discoveries, can have unexpected echoes. We learn that every good idea casts a shadow, and understanding that shadow is part of growing wiser. Birth control, freedom of choice, moral debates. Have you ever thought about the power of a single decision? Not just deciding what to wear, but something bigger, something that shapes a whole life, or many lives. Birth control, as an idea, came from a very human desire, the wish for control. For centuries, when and if someone had children was often left to chance or to fate. But then, the idea emerged that people, especially women, could choose. They could decide the rhythm of their own lives, the size of their families, the timing of their dreams. This idea felt like a sunrise. It offered freedom. Imagine you're drawing a map of your future. Before, some paths were just there, leading wherever. Now, you could pick your destination, choose when to start your journey. For many, this choice meant a pathway to education, to work, to a life built on their own terms. It meant escaping a cycle that felt overwhelming. The good intention was clear: to empower, to free, to offer a deeper kind of agency over one's own body and destiny. But every powerful idea, even one born of goodness, can stir up deep questions. If you have the power to choose when life begins, does that change how we value it? Does it make life seem like something that can be turned on and off, like a light switch? This idea, meant to bring freedom, also opened up huge moral debates. People started asking, Whose choice is it, really? What about the potential lives not lived? It forced us to look at life itself, and our place in the grand, mysterious flow of existence. It showed us that even the purest intentions can lead to complicated, heartfelt discussions, leaving us to wonder about the unseen ripples of our actions. The printing press, spreading ideas, spreading lies. Have you ever considered how something truly brilliant, something meant to help everyone, can also bring unexpected shadows? Think about the printing press. When Johannes Gutenberg invented it, way back in the 1400s, it felt like a miracle. Before that, books were copied by hand, slowly, carefully. Only a few rich people or scholars ever saw them. Knowledge was locked away. But here's the thing, the printing press changed everything. Suddenly, books could be made fast. Ideas, stories, news, they could spread like wildfire across countries. This meant more people could learn to read. They could get information, share thoughts, and challenge old ways of thinking. It was supposed to be a good thing, a way to make the world smarter and more connected. And it was. In many ways, it helped spark new discoveries and movements. But here's the problem. Just as easily as it spread true facts and beautiful poems, it could also spread hurtful rumors, false accusations, and terrible lies. Think about how information travels online today. It's a lot like the printing press, but super fast. You can find amazing facts and connect with people. But you also see fake news stories, hateful comments, or hurtful gossip spread incredibly quickly. A picture shared without context, a story made up to scare people. These things gain power because they can reach so many eyes so fast. So, the printing press, designed to light up the world with knowledge, also showed us a difficult truth. An invention itself isn't good or bad, it's just a tool. The real power, and the real danger, lies in what people choose to print, and what we choose to believe. It teaches us that sharing words, whether on paper or a screen, comes with a quiet, heavy responsibility. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, how we hold such power in our hands. Department stores, shopping fun, lost main streets. Have you ever walked into a big, bright department store? The air feels different, maybe a bit exciting, with so many things to see, so many choices on the shelves. It's easy to get lost in the rows of clothes, the shiny new gadgets, or the endless toys. This idea, bringing everything under one roof, felt like pure magic when it first started. For a long time, it truly was a good idea, making life simpler and more colorful. But here's the thing about good ideas, sometimes they cast a long shadow without anyone meaning for them to. Before these huge stores, towns had bustling main streets. Imagine tiny shops lined up like friendly neighbors, the baker with warm bread smells, the quiet bookstore, the hardware store. Each one was a small, independent heart of its community. People knew the shopkeepers by name. When department stores grew, with their vast selections and lower prices, they slowly, quietly, pulled people away from those familiar main streets. It was like one giant magnet drawing all the tiny metal pieces, leaving other spots feeling empty. Think of it like this. You might find a super fast, cool video game that lets you play with friends online. It's fun, new, exciting. But then, maybe you stop going outside as much, or you don't play board games with your family anymore. The good new thing didn't mean to hurt the old activities, but it changed how you spent your time. Department stores did something similar to our towns. The fun and ease they offered were genuine gifts. Yet, over time, they slowly dimmed the lights on those small, unique shops that once buzzed with life and conversation. They left main streets quieter, sometimes empty. It's a quiet reminder that even the best intentions, the most useful inventions, can reshape our world in ways we never saw coming, leaving us to wonder about what used to be. Every new light casts a new shadow, doesn't it? Retirement homes, safe places, isolated elders. Have you ever thought about what it's like to grow old, or how we care for our elders? For a long time, people wanted to make sure grandparents were safe. That's why retirement homes, or nursing homes, were created. It seemed like a good idea. A place for older folks to live with support, nurses, meals, clean rooms, no worries about falling. Long ago, families often lived together, caring for their elders. But as life changed, families spread out, houses got smaller, people looked for new ways to help. They imagined safe, friendly communities for seniors, a comfortable, caring home. But here's the thing, sometimes, Trying to protect someone too much can accidentally take something important away. Imagine you love playing outside, but your parents decide your backyard is too risky. They build you a super safe, comfy playroom inside. You're protected, but you can't feel the sun or kick a ball on the grass. You miss the messy joy of being outside. For many elders, retirement homes, while safe, can become like that playroom. They lose their old houses, their gardens, even their pets. They are often separated from daily life, from the laughter of children, the sounds of their old neighborhoods. They are safe, yes, but sometimes they become very lonely. The good idea of safety sometimes led to a quiet sadness, an isolation no one intended. It shows how even kind ideas can have hidden shadows. School tracking, tailored learning, limiting futures. Have you ever thought about the path your school sets you on? Like how some classes feel like they're for one kind of future and others for a different one. Here's the thing, schools often try to help students by guiding them into specific groups. This is sometimes called tracking. The idea sounds good, right? It's about tailoring your learning. Imagine a school sorting kids into different lanes, like a highway. One lane is for students who might go to college, another for those who might learn a trade, and so on. The goal was to make sure everyone got the best, most focused education for their path. It seemed helpful, even efficient. Back in the day, a long time ago, people believed that figuring out a student's strengths early on could lead to a better future for everyone. If you were good with your hands, maybe you'd learn a skill, like carpentry. If you loved books, maybe you'd study history or science. This thinking came from a time when society needed people to fit into clear roles. The idea was to build a strong, productive society where everyone knew their place and contributed. It felt like a smart way to match people with jobs and make sure no one was wasting time on things they wouldn't use. But here's the problem. Think about a tiny seed. That small seed holds the potential to become a mighty tree. What if someone decided, based on how small it looked, that it should only grow into a bush? School tracking can be a bit like that. Once you're on a certain track, it can be really hard to switch lanes. If you were put into a non-college track early, even if you later discovered a love for chemistry or writing, the path to a different future might feel blocked. The classes you took, the skills you learned, might not prepare you for that new dream. Your options, the wide open spaces of your potential, could shrink. So, while the intention was to help, to guide, to prepare us for life, this good idea can sometimes quietly close doors. It might make us wonder how much of our future is truly our own to choose, and how much is shaped by the well-meaning paths others laid out for us. It's a deep thought about freedom and the unexpected ways even good intentions can limit the beautiful, unfolding story of who we can become. Standardized time, global order, local confusion. Have you ever stopped to wonder what time truly is? Not just the numbers, but the deep, quiet rhythm of our days. For most of history, time was local. The clock in your town was set by the sun's highest point, what we call noon. Every town had its own unique pulse. That felt right, like breathing with the earth itself. But then, the world grew bigger and faster. Trains crisscrossed continents. Messages flashed across wires. People needed to know when trains would arrive, when to meet across vast distances. So, a new idea sparked. What if everyone agreed on the same time? What if we all set our clocks to the same standard, broken into neat zones? It sounded brilliant. It brought order to chaos. It helped build our modern world, connecting distant places. Here's the thing though, the sun didn't change its path. It still rises and sets at its own pace, no matter what our watches say. So, while our clocks brought global order, they also stirred a quiet confusion right where we live. Imagine this, the sun might be high above your head, painting shadows short, but your clock says it's only 10 a.m., or it could be dark outside, the stars already peeking through. Yet your clock insists it's only 5 p.m. Our bodies, once synced with the sun's rhythm, now had to adjust to an invented time. It's a little like moving to a new house. You gain a new address, a new way of finding things. That's good, but you might lose the familiar scent of the old garden, or the way the sunlight hit your window. We gained incredible organization, a unified pulse for global life. But we also gently, almost silently, disconnected ourselves from the sun's simple, honest truth. This good idea, meant to bring us together, also created a subtle distance between us and the natural world. It shows how even the best intentions can ripple out in ways we never quite expect. The selfie, sharing life, chasing likes. Have you ever stopped to think about why we take so many pictures of ourselves? We point our phones, snap, and then maybe share. It's called a selfie, and it feels natural now, doesn't it? It's a quick way to show friends what we're doing, how we feel, or just what we look like right now. The idea is simple. Share a moment of your life. Let others see you. For hundreds of years, long before phones or cameras, artists painted self-portraits. Think of someone like Frida Kahlo, who painted herself again and again. She wanted to show her true self, her pain, her strength, to the world. But those paintings took weeks, even months, and only a few people saw them in a gallery. Now, with a click, millions can see your face. This quickness, this huge audience, that's where things get interesting. Here's the thing. Taking a picture of yourself, sharing your experience, that's a good idea. It lets us connect, express who we are, and feel seen. It gives us a way to mark our presence in the world. But then, something shifts. We start to care about the likes, that little number, those hearts. They can feel like a reward. Our brains actually get a little jolt, like when you earn a point in a game. And so, we start chasing that feeling. It's like when you're building a cool sandcastle at the beach. At first, you're just having fun creating. But if suddenly everyone starts walking by and giving your castle a score out of 10, you might stop caring about building it and start caring only about getting a high score. You might even change your sandcastle to get more likes, rather than making the one you truly wanted. The selfie started as a way to share real life, but sometimes it turns into a performance, a search for approval. We begin to curate, to filter, to pose, not just to share, but to be validated. And that's a tricky path, because our true worth isn't found in a number of likes. It's found in simply being who we are, authentically, whether anyone is watching or not. Online dating, finding love, facing strangers. Have you ever stopped to think about how people find love, or even just a good friend, in today's busy world? For hundreds of years, meeting someone meant bumping into them in your town, at school, or through family and shared activities. It was about shared spaces, trust built over time, and slow introductions. But then, not so long ago, the internet arrived, and with it, the brand new idea of online dating. The big, good idea behind it was simple and kind. What if you could meet people from anywhere, even if they lived across the country or far away? What if you could find someone who truly understood you? Someone who shared all your specific hobbies and dreams, just by typing a few words into a computer. It felt like magic, like building a bridge across vast distances, making the world feel much smaller and connections seem much easier. The hopeful thought was to help lonely hearts find their perfect match, to open up horizons beyond just the local neighborhood. It seemed like a deeply kind and helpful step for humanity, promising more chances for happiness. But here's the thing. Imagine you're looking for a special kind of beautiful flower, maybe one that only blooms at night. Someone tells you there's a huge, endless garden online, full of every flower imaginable, and you can just click and choose. Sounds amazing, right? But in this digital garden, anyone can draw a picture of a perfect flower, or describe one wonderfully, even if that flower isn't real. They can pretend their flower is one thing, when it's truly something else entirely. This good idea, meant to bring people together, also opened the door to a strange and sometimes scary new world. People could hide behind screens, creating fake profiles, pretending to be someone they weren't. The very distance that made global connections possible also made deception much easier. Loneliness could actually deepen when profiles turned out to be lies, or when a friendly online chat led to an unsafe meeting in real life. The promise of finding connections sometimes led instead to feelings of fear, disappointment, or even serious danger. So, while online dating began with a truly hopeful dream of connecting hearts, it also taught us a really important lesson. Tools created with the best intentions can have hidden, tricky pathways. They remind us that the human heart, always searching for love and belonging, still needs deep wisdom, careful caution, and the courage to look past the screen. Real, honest connections, we learned, grow best in truth and shared light, not just in bright pixels on a digital page. Call centers, easy help, lost connection, Have you ever called for help? Maybe about a broken toy or a missing package, and found yourself talking to a voice that isn't quite human. Or you press number after number, hoping to reach a real person. Here's the thing: call centers started from a good idea. Imagine a world where every time you needed help with something, you had to visit a specific place, or wait for someone to call you back from a small, local office. It was slow. Businesses thought, how can we help more people, faster? So, they gathered many people in one big room, with phones, ready to answer questions. This seemed like a brilliant way to make things easy for everyone, to give quick answers, and solve problems quickly. It was about making help accessible and efficient, a big step forward from less organized ways of communicating. But here's the problem. While it brought speed, something quiet began to disappear. Think about the difference between talking to a close friend when you have a problem versus sending an anonymous message into a huge group chat. With your friend, you get that feeling of being truly heard, of connection. With the group chat, your message might get lost, or answered by someone who doesn't quite get you. Call centers, in trying to be efficient, often replaced that personal touch. Instead of a local shop owner who knew your name and your history, you now speak to a voice, sometimes miles away, who knows nothing about you beyond your account number. This change, meant to simplify things, sometimes leaves us feeling a little more alone, a little more like a number in a long queue. It shows how even the best intentions, aiming for speed and widespread help, can quietly take away something valuable: the warmth of human connection, the feeling of being personally cared for, not just processed. Voice assistants, smart help, always listening. Have you ever wondered about the quiet voice that answers questions from your phone or smart speaker? That helpful presence, always there, ready to tell you the weather or play a song. It feels like magic, doesn't it? Like a gentle spirit. This idea, the voice assistant, came from a desire to make life easier, faster, more connected. We dreamed of talking to machines, having them understand and act. For ages, people imagined talking to objects. In old stories, kings had magic mirrors that spoke, or statues that whispered wisdom. Science fiction writers then imagined computers that could chat like humans. And here's the thing: we built them. We made programs that hear our words, try to understand, and reply. This helpfulness is amazing. It saves time, helps us remember, and connects us to information instantly. But here's a thought to hold on to. Imagine a personal journal where every time you write, a copy also goes to someone else. Not because they're mean, but because they want to know what you like, what you ask. Voice assistants work like this. To be helpful, they listen, always. They learn our habits, our voices, even our moods. They gather pieces of our lives, our private world, just by being there. Always on, always ready. So, while they are a marvel of helpfulness, a truly good idea, they also, gently, quietly, take something from us. It's not a loud theft, but a soft, constant hum of presence, a question to ponder. Does the ease of quick answers outweigh the quiet knowing that something is always listening? It's a good idea, truly helpful, that quietly reshapes our understanding of privacy, one soft whisper at a time. GPS, never lost, always tracked. Have you ever thought about that strange feeling of never truly being lost anymore? Your phone, a quiet guide in your pocket, always knows where you are. Every street, every turn, even just at home. That's GPS. It sounds like such a good idea, doesn't it? And it truly is, in many ways. Here's how it works. Simply, tiny signals from satellites far in space beam down to your device. Your phone catches these signals, figures its spot, and shows you on a map. At first, armies used this technology. It helped soldiers navigate. But then, this amazing tool was opened up for everyone. The goal was to make travel safer, help in emergencies, and simply make our big world feel smaller. It helped people explore without the old fear of getting completely lost. But here's the thing about knowing your way and being known. Imagine a special key that always tells you where your favorite book is. Super helpful, right? You'd never lose it. But what if that key also quietly told everyone else where your book was, all the time, even when you didn't want them to know? That's kind of how GPS works, silently gathering your paths. It keeps you from getting lost, but also creates a digital trail of everywhere you go. The good idea was freedom from being lost. The quiet cost is losing private movement. We walk through the world, our digital footprint marking every step. It's a reminder that sometimes things made for convenience or safety can also, without us fully realizing it, track our shadows. It's a comfort to be found, but sometimes there's a quiet longing for days when you could disappear into the landscape, even for a little while. Ebooks. More stories, less real books. Have you ever really thought about the feel of a book? The weight of it in your hands, the way the pages crinkle, maybe even the smell of old paper and ink. It's a solid thing. For a long time, the idea of a book was tied to this physical object, each one a little world you could hold. Then came the idea of ebooks. The thought was simple and good. Put all the stories, all the knowledge, onto glowing screens. No more heavy bags of books. No more waiting for a book to be shipped. Instantly, you could have millions of books in your pocket. It felt like we were getting more stories, more easily, to more people, and that seemed like such a good thing. But here's a question. When something becomes so easy to get, does it change how we value it? Imagine looking at a beautiful flower in a garden. You see its colors, smell its scent, feel its soft petals. Now imagine seeing the same flower only as a perfect picture on a screen. The picture is clear, maybe even brighter, but you can't smell it, you can't touch it, you can't feel the sun that helped it grow. The information is there, but the full experience is not. Ebooks are a bit like that perfect picture. They give us the words, the plot, the characters, but the physical journey of a real book, the worn spine from many readings, the dog-eared page marking a favorite line, even the simple act of turning paper, these are part of the story too. They connect us to the past readers, to the author, to the very physical act of imagination. We wanted more access, and we got it. But maybe, in gaining endless stories on a screen, we quietly let go of something else. Something about the simple, solid presence of a book, a presence that grounds us in the quiet act of reading itself. Open plan offices, teamwork, no privacy. Have you ever wanted a quiet corner, just to think a big thought? We dream of working closely, sharing every idea. But what happens when that wish for togetherness means losing your own space? Imagine desks, spread out in one big room, no walls. This is an open plan office. It started as a truly good idea. In the early 1900s, especially after big wars, people wanted new ways to work. They felt if bosses had private offices and others were cramped, that wasn't fair. So, here's what happened. They pictured a future where everyone was equal. No more closed doors. Instead, big, bright rooms where ideas could flow freely. Teamwork would naturally happen. Everyone could see and talk easily. The goal was to build connection, to make work feel like a shared journey. But here's the problem. Think about studying for a test in a busy, loud coffee shop. Music plays, people laugh, cups clatter. Your brain tries to focus, but it's pulled in many directions. That's how an open office can feel. The constant noise, nearby conversations, feeling watched, it makes deep concentration hard. It's like trying to whisper a secret when everyone listens. Openness, meant to bring us closer, sometimes makes us build invisible walls instead. So, this idea, born from a wish for fairness and connection, also brought a quiet struggle. It reminds us that even good intentions can have unexpected shadows. Sometimes, to truly connect, we first need a quiet space, a place where thoughts can breathe. Building for togetherness means our individual selves still need a sacred, silent spot. Instant messaging, quick chats, shallow talks. Have you ever considered how easily our words fly across the world now? A thought, a feeling, a tiny moment, sent in an instant. Instant messaging seems like such a good thing. It connects us, right? We can talk to friends far away, share quick jokes, or just say hello without much fuss. It feels like magic, this ability to reach anyone, anywhere. But here's the thing about magic. Sometimes it changes more than we expect. Not so long ago, talking to someone who wasn't nearby took real effort. You'd write a letter, choosing your words carefully, knowing it might take days or weeks to arrive. Or you'd make a phone call, maybe planning it, sitting down for a deeper conversation. Those moments were slower, heavier somehow, filled with a different kind of waiting. Communication was often deeper, more thought out. Now, with instant messages, our conversations have become like fast, small bursts. We send emojis, quick reactions, short phrases. It's like when you're looking at a huge, beautiful painting. You can glance at it quickly, for a second, and say, "Oh, that's pretty." But to truly understand it, to feel its power and see its tiny details, you need to stand there for a long time. You need to really look, to let it sink in. Our quick chats are often like that quick glance. They let us touch base, yes, but do they help us truly see and understand each other? When we only share snippets, when we choose speed over depth, we risk building connections that are wide, but not very deep. This good idea of instant connection can, in its own quiet way, make our understandings shallower. It leaves us connected, but perhaps a little less known, a little less seen, by the very people we talk to every day. Barcodes, quick scans, less human touch. Have you ever stopped to think about those little black and white stripes? They're everywhere now, aren't they? On your cereal box, your new shoes, even library books. They're called barcodes, and they seem so simple, but they changed how we buy things, how we live, in a really big way. The idea for barcodes came from a simple problem: how to quickly track everything. Imagine a grocery store back in the day. Every single item had its price marked. By hand, people would stand in long lines while a cashier slowly rang up each item, typing numbers one by one. It took forever. So, someone thought, what if a machine could just read the price? What if each product had a unique fingerprint a scanner could understand? That was the start. It seemed like a totally good idea. Make things faster, more accurate, less human mistakes. Think about standing in line at the grocery store now. The cashier just beep, 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 your items. No need to look for a price tag. No need to manually enter anything. It's super fast, right? You probably barely even talk to the person scanning your items. They don't need to know the price of bread. The system just tells them. But here's the thing. While barcodes made things incredibly efficient, they also started to pull us further apart. That quick beep replaced a small moment of human interaction. The cashier used to have to know the price, to handle the item, to maybe even comment on it. Now, they're just an extension of the scanner. It's less about a person selling you something and more about a system processing data. We gained speed, but maybe we lost a tiny bit of connection, a subtle human thread. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What small parts of being human do we trade away for pure efficiency? Delivery apps, fast food, less local jobs. Have you ever been really hungry and just wished food would appear, like magic? That's kind of what delivery apps feel like, right? You tap a screen, and suddenly, your favorite burger or pizza is on its way to your door. It seems so easy, so helpful. A good idea, clearly, to bring food to people who are busy or can't leave their homes. For a long time, people have dreamed of making life simpler, faster. Think about how we moved from horse-drawn carriages to cars, or from writing letters to sending texts. We always try to find the quickest path, the easiest way. And these apps found a very quick, very easy way to get us what we want to eat. But sometimes, when we build a super-fast highway, we forget about the small winding roads it bypasses. Imagine a clear, cool stream that flows through a quiet town. It brings life to the plants and animals there. Then, imagine someone builds a giant pipe to move water super fast to a big city far away. The city gets its water instantly, which is good for them. But what happens to the stream in the quiet town? It might dry up a little. The plants and animals might struggle. Delivery apps can be a bit like that pipe. They make it super easy to order from big chain restaurants, often far away. But what about the small, local diner down the street? Or the mom-and-pop pizza place that used to rely on people walking in? The apps often take a big chunk of money from each order. This makes it harder for small places to survive. They might not be able to hire as many people. Fewer jobs mean less money for families in that town. So, while we get our food fast, we might be slowly changing the heart of our own neighborhoods. We gain convenience, but we risk losing those unique, local spots and the jobs they create. It makes you wonder, what quiet currents are we changing when we choose the fast, easy path? What do we lose when everything becomes just a tap away? Credit scores, fair lending, unfair judgments. Have you ever thought how a single number might decide big things in someone's life, like where they live or if they can start a business? Here's the thing about credit scores. They started as a good idea. A credit score is just a number. It tells lenders how likely you are to pay back money you borrow. Think of it as a report card for your money habits. Before credit scores, banks often picked who got loans in unfair ways. They might have judged people by race or where they lived. So, around the mid-1900s, a fairer system was wanted. The goal was to make lending equal for everyone. No more guesses, just a number based on past money facts. It seemed like a good step, meant to open doors. But here's the problem. Imagine a video game that tracks your trust score. What if your internet cut out during one mission? The game saw an incomplete mission, not the technical issue. That bad moment lowers your score. Later, it's harder to join good teams or get cool items. This happens even if you've been a great player since. That's a bit like a credit score. It's meant to be fair, a neutral judge. But life is messy. A single number can't always capture the whole story. What if someone faced a sudden family emergency or lost a job? These events can damage a score. Then, it's harder to get a loan for a home or car, even after hard times passed. So, this idea, meant for equality, can sometimes build new walls. It's a quiet whisper about who you are, decided by numbers. Maybe the deeper lesson is this. True fairness asks us to look beyond simple scores. We need to remember the complex, changing stories that make up every human life. Automated customer service, fast answers, no real help. Have you ever had a problem, maybe with a game or a bill, and needed help? So, you call the company, and a calm, clear voice greets you. It gives you options. Press 1 for this, press 2 for that. It promises to get you answers fast, to make things easy. This seemed like a truly good idea, right? To solve problems quickly, without waiting, to make services more efficient for everyone. For a long time, people believed that making things faster was always better. We built factories to make things in bulk, and we created systems to process information at lightning speed. It felt smart to organize everything, to put every possible question into a neat box with a pre-written answer. The idea was that if we could just sort out all the common issues, everyone would get help instantly. No more long waits, no more confused human voices. Just smooth, quick answers. But here's the thing. What happens when your problem doesn't fit into one of those neat boxes? What if your specific issue is a little bit messy, a little bit strange? It's like trying to explain your most complicated dream by only using a list of 5 feelings. Your dream might be beautiful and confusing, funny and a little bit sad, all at once. And none of the simple choices really capture what you want to say. The automated system, designed to give fast answers, often ends up giving no real help at all. It's built for speed, not for understanding. It leaves you clicking through menus, feeling lost in a digital maze, while your actual question remains unheard. It can feel lonely, like you're talking to an empty room, even though the system is working exactly as it was designed. So, this good idea, speed and efficiency, sometimes leaves us feeling unseen. It reminds us that real help often isn't about the fastest answer, but about being truly heard. It's about someone understanding the messy human side of a problem, even when it doesn't fit perfectly into a pre-made box. And sometimes, that quiet, patient understanding is what truly matters most. Fitness trackers, healthy goals, anxious minds. Have you ever wanted to be healthier, to feel stronger, to get enough sleep, to just move more? It's a good feeling, wanting to take care of yourself. And for many, fitness trackers seemed like a perfect way to help. These little gadgets on our wrists or phones count our steps, measure our heartbeats, tell us how long we slept. The idea was simple. If we can see the numbers, we can do better. We can set goals, hit targets, and slowly, surely, become the healthier people we want to be. It sounds so good, so logical. But here's the thing. Even the best intentions, the clearest paths to improvement, can sometimes lead us down unexpected roads. Humans have always measured things. Ancient farmers measured the rain to help their crops grow. Artists measured proportions to create beautiful statues. We measure to understand, to improve, to reach for something better. It's part of how we learn, and applying this to our bodies, to our health, feels like a natural step. Think about a video game. When you first start playing, you just enjoy it. But then, maybe a score appears on the screen, or a level counter. Suddenly, you're not just playing for fun, you're playing for the number. You want to beat your last score. You want to reach the next level. If you don't, a little whisper of disappointment can creep in. That fun game can become a chore, or even a source of stress, because the numbers started to matter more than the joy of playing. This is what can happen with fitness trackers. What began as a helpful tool, a friendly nudge towards health, can slowly shift. We start to look at our bodies, not as living, feeling beings, but as data points. Did I get enough steps? Is my sleep score good enough? We might feel bad about ourselves if the numbers aren't perfect, even if we feel fine. The drive to be healthy can become a hidden burden, a constant pressure to perform for a device. Our well-being gets tied to a digital score, rather than how we truly feel inside. So, while wanting to be healthy is a truly good idea, relying too much on numbers can steal away our peace. True health isn't just about reaching a step count or a perfect sleep score. It's about listening to your own body, finding joy in movement, and feeling good in your own skin. It's about knowing that you are more than just data. Online shopping, easy buys, too many returns. Have you ever stopped to think about how easy it is to buy things now? With a few clicks, almost anything can be on its way to your door. A good idea, this comfort, this speed. We wanted the world at our fingertips, and the internet delivered. But sometimes, a good idea, when stretched too thin or taken too far, can begin to fray, showing a different, darker pattern underneath. Long ago, shopping was an event. You'd walk to a store, see what was there, maybe touch the fabric, try on the shoes. You thought about your purchase, because returning it wasn't always simple. There was a sense of connection, a careful thought, before it became yours. Then came catalogs, and later, the internet, promising ultimate convenience. This was meant to save us time, to make life smoother, and in many ways, it did. But here's the thing. When something is too easy, we often stop thinking about its true cost. Imagine a faucet that drips just a tiny bit, but never stops. Each drop seems like nothing, but over time, that tiny drip can fill buckets, even flood a room. Online shopping can be like that drip. We click, we buy, and sometimes we return. We might buy multiple sizes of the same shirt, knowing we'll send back the ones that don't fit, or order things we don't truly need, caught in a sale, only to realize later we made a mistake. All those returns, all those excess packages, they don't just disappear. They pile up in warehouses, get shipped again, sometimes end up in landfills, costing the earth in resources and waste. The convenience we craved so much quietly builds a mountain of discarded things. It makes us wonder if true ease comes from having everything, or from choosing wisely, understanding the quiet echo of each choice we make. Maybe the greatest convenience is the one that leaves us, and our world, a little lighter, a little more at peace. Disposable products, simple life, more waste. Have you ever grabbed a paper cup for a drink, or a plastic fork for a quick snack? It feels so easy, doesn't it? Just use it once, then toss it. The core idea was simple. Make daily life less of a chore. No stacks of dishes, no heavy bags of reusable items. For a long time, people saw this as progress, a way to live a cleaner, faster life. Back in history, maybe hundreds of years ago, almost everything was reused. A broken clay pot might become a flower container. Old cloth from a worn-out shirt would be cut into rags. The thought of just throwing something away didn't quite exist. There wasn't really an away. But then, factories started making things cheaper, especially plastics. The focus shifted. It became about being quick and keeping things clean, like how hospitals need fresh, one-time tools. That made sense. But this idea spread to everyday things, too. Here's the problem. We use that plastic water bottle for maybe 10 minutes. But when it goes into the trash, it doesn't just vanish. It stays, for hundreds of years, long after we've forgotten we used it. Think of it like this. If you put one tiny grain of sand into a jar every single day, it doesn't seem like much. But over years, that jar will fill up. It will overflow. That's a bit like our planet and all the disposable stuff. We don't see the mountain of waste slowly growing with each item we toss. We only see the empty cup for a fleeting moment. So, this simple idea, meant to make our lives easier, also quietly created a massive, lasting problem. It shows us that even small choices can have big, quiet consequences. Sometimes, living with convenience means the earth pays a hidden, heavy price. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, about what a way truly means for everything we use. Cashless society, easy money, more control. Have you ever stopped to think about money? Not just the coins or bills, but what it really is. For thousands of years, money was something you could hold, physical. But what if it wasn't? Imagine, all money is just numbers on a screen, bits of data floating in the air. This is the idea of a cashless society. It sounds simple, right? No fumbling for change, no lost wallets. Payments instant and smooth. Here's the thing, making payments easier has always been a goal. Early humans traded shells, then metals, then paper. Each step made exchanging values simpler. Digital money, like cards and apps, feels like the latest step. For many, the thought is, this can help us. It's efficient. It promises to make life smoother, faster. Your daily snack, a new book, all just a tap or a scan. But here's the problem, the quiet shadow behind the ease. If all money is digital, it leaves a trail. Every single thing you buy, every place you spend, it's all recorded. Think of it like a giant, invisible diary of your spending habits. It's like your favorite video game where every move you make is known by the developers. They see it all. They could even decide what items you're allowed to buy, or pause your ability to play if they don't like something you did. This idea, meant to bring convenience, also brings immense control. When your money isn't truly yours physically, but just a digital entry, someone else holds the power to turn it on or off. They see not just what you buy, but where and when. It whispers about a future where privacy, that quiet space, just for you, might slowly fade. It makes us wonder, what freedom do we truly have if every economic step is watched and potentially controlled? It's a gentle thought to hold, this balance between easy living and quiet oversight. Artificial intelligence, smart future, unseen risks. When we dream of tomorrow, what kind of world do we imagine? Do we picture machines that think, that learn, that understand us, helping us build a better life? This idea, artificial intelligence, or AI, is when computers get so incredibly smart, they can do things we once thought only human minds could. They can recognize faces in a crowd, write poetry, or navigate a complex city street. For centuries, across cultures, we've wondered about bringing intelligence to life. Think of old stories about statues coming to life, or machines with minds. We imagined helpers, perfect tools. Here's the thing, the journey into AI began with the purest, most hopeful intentions. People wanted to solve the world's biggest problems, to free us from boring tasks, to make life simpler and better for everyone. AI can sift through vast oceans of information, find hidden patterns, and make decisions with incredible speed. But here's the problem, a quiet shadow growing alongside the light. What if the patterns it learns from are not fair? What if the real-world information it trains on is full of biases, unequal and unjust? An AI might then make choices that look logical, but quietly cause harm, simply because it reflects the imperfect world it learned from. Consider a music app that always knows the perfect song for your mood. It feels like magic, right? It learns from your likes and dislikes. But what if it only ever shows you more of the same, keeping you inside a small, familiar bubble? You might miss out on incredible new artists or ideas because the AI, trying to be helpful, never pushed you to explore. And that's why it matters. AI slowly shapes what we see, what we hear, even how we think, sometimes without us even noticing its gentle, persistent influence. So, the hopeful dream of a smart future, full of helpful machines, also whispers a deeper question. When we create such power, what do we lose without realizing it? Do we grow less curious, less able to discover new paths? If the AI always chooses, for us, it's not about scary robots. It's about how a good idea can quietly, deeply, change our world in ways we never fully planned. Universal basic income, a helping hand, a changing world. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to truly be free from worry, even just a little? To know that no matter what, you'd have enough for the basics of life. This thought leads us to something called universal basic income, or UBI. Here's the thing, it's a simple idea, but with deep roots. Imagine a world where everyone, rich or poor, working or not, gets a regular, unconditional payment from the government. It's not charity, it's a foundation. It's like the quiet earth beneath your feet, always there, supporting your next step. For centuries, thinkers have dreamt of a society where everyone has dignity and security. Philosophers like Thomas More, way back in the 1500s, wrote about ideal places where basic needs were met for all. And through the years, many people have imagined a kind of safety net for everyone. So, this idea isn't new. It's an old dream dressed in new clothes, asking if we can build a more secure future for all. Think about a small, young tree. To grow strong, it needs steady sunlight and consistent water. Not just a sprinkle now and then, but a reliable supply it can count on every day. UBI tries to be like that reliable sun and water for people. It aims to make sure everyone has enough to eat, a safe place to sleep, and perhaps even some peace of mind in a busy world. But here's the interesting part. What happens when the fear of losing everything slowly fades? When the constant worry about rent or food isn't there, what kinds of choices do people make? Does it give them space to learn new things, to care for family, or to pursue a passion that helps the whole community? It's a quiet hope, a whisper, about a world where dignity is a birthright, not a privilege, and where the human spirit might finally breathe a little easier, looking up at the sky instead of always at the ground.